What's going on, Facebook? What's going on YouTube? I'm just going to straighten this out real quick. And that's what it is. Thank you guys so much for being here. I want to talk about a few things today. The first thing I want to talk about is the Afghanistan failure. It's not just, I believe, a failure of the Biden administration to be ready for what was entailing, but also I think it was a multi-trillion-dollar failing from pretty much every president of the US. They wasted trillions of dollars in Afghanistan to do, I don't know what they would claim they did, but where it is now, trillions of dollars. Just real quick, a billion is 1,000 millions. If you've ever had $1 billion, I never have. It's 1,000 millions. You can't even spend $1 billion. A trillion is 1,000 billions. So just to put into perspective how much $1 trillion is, 1,000 millions is a billion, 1,000 billions is a trillion. We wasted trillions in the Middle East, our taxpayer dollars. I mean, I've only been paying taxes for like 10 years, but probably your taxpayer dollars. So that happened. We're going to talk about that, the Biden administration, et cetera, the past, the present. Also, I have right here, this is a tweet from George Soros. I'm kind of afraid to put his name in my title. Like, I'm not going to say anything mean or bad. I'm a nice guy, but it's like, you say like George Soros or Rothschild and they immediately just call you an anti-Semite. You could be like a Jewish mother, from Brooklyn or something who, has like a thick accent and they'll call you an anti-Semite even if you're Jewish. But anyway, I was afraid to put his name in the title, but the story literally is George Soros penned an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal about Xi Jinping, or however you say his name. He said, I consider Xi Jinping, the most dangerous enemy of open societies in the world. So George Soros is railing against China. A lot of people will be confused by this. I thought he was working with China. I thought it was the liberals in China. There's a piece of the puzzle people have been missing for a long time. I actually told people, if you watched my stream a year ago, I told you that George Soros was against China, or he claimed to be. We already talked about this a year ago. But anyway, a lot of people are going to be confused by that. We're going to talk about it. I wonder, in the comment section, let me know what you think. And then the third thing we're going to talk about is why the Taliban really hates us. You're going to hear in conservative media and liberal media why they hate you, because you're so free. You're not really free anymore, so it must not be that. You have vaccine passports, mask mandates on airlines across all 50 states. Your kids are being force injected, and both parties are pretty much either agreeing with it openly or their Supreme Court justices are siding with it. You get what I'm saying? This is not, the ex-president Donald Trump is banned from social media. We all use social media. It's the number one platform that we're communicating, and the former president of the United States is banned on it. We're not a free country anymore. So spoiler alert, the Taliban never hated us for our freedom. I'm going to tell you the real reason that they hate us, and it might be quite shocking. Before I do that, I have a few things to go over real quick. First of all, if you can see this picture, I'm going to hold it up so you can see this ugly guy. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I'm not going to say he's ugly, but I just trying to be funny. Anyway, that's Mayor Bill de Blasio or whatever. You can see right here tomorrow. Starting tomorrow, you'll need proof of vaccination to unlock everything in New York City, says Mayor Bill de Blasio. I'm just going to read real quick. This is straight off of the key to unlock New York City. So instead of a key, it's a mRNA vaccine, or I guess the Johnson & Johnson, if they still have. I don't even know if you can get those still or not. But anyway, here's what you can and can't do. I'm going to read the list real quick so people know. Indoor entertainment. This is what he's saying you need a vaccine for now. Movie theaters, live music, concerts and venues, museums and galleries, aquariums and zoos, professional sports arenas, stadiums, convention centers, exhibition halls, performing arts theaters, bowling alleys, arcades, pool and billiard halls, recreational game centers, casinos, adult entertainment, indoor dining, restaurants, catering halls, event spaces, hotel banquet rooms, bars, cabarets, nightclubs, cafeterias, grocery stores with indoor dining, bakeries, coffee shops, fast food, quick service, indoor facilities, gyms, fitness centers, fitness classes, pools, indoor studios, dance studios, sports classes. So that's his list, but pretty much they're trying to ban you from indoor spaces if you don't get vaccinated. And I don't like to exaggerate, but I really think this is bordering on the lines of like genocidal. I'll just say it. I mean, if you can't work, I know people that are they can't work in New York City. They can't earn an income. They can't work out at a gym. They can't eat indoor. Like, what are you trying to do to people? I don't understand. Are you trying to hurt people like drastically who don't get the jab? And I want to say just real quick, because in my opinion, I don't put a certain race above another when it comes to human rights and, what I believe. So, New York Times, it says why only 28% of Black New Yorkers, young New Yorkers, are vaccinated. So, according to the New York Times, they know that 72% of Black youth in New York City are not vaccinated. So, they are literally keeping a majority of Black youth away from indoor spaces. And this is just typical liberalism. They love you so much. Black Lives Matter. They fundraise off your demise. They let you like burn your own neighborhood so nobody wants to live there. And then when push comes to shove, they're like, actually, we're not even going to let you indoors anymore. It's like, because we're the good guys. We're the good guys who are going to let 72% of Black youth, I guess, sit outside and beg for food or something since they can't work or do anything and they can't have a real life. I mean, it's mentally abusive, it's financially abusive, it's physically, socially abusive. These people are sick. So I hope people start paying attention. They're doing it in New York City. I mean, how in the world are Black organizations not rallying against this? I hope they are. I don't know. Now we got to get real quick before we get to the Afghanistan story. I apologize. I have to read the Israel data. I have this. It's Johns Hopkins University, Google, mainstream stuff. You see the charts. This is the data. They keep saying, you science, data. So I printed out the data. This is from Israel, who loves the vaccine. The majority of their population, over 50-60%, is fully vaccinated. August 15th, 2020. This is before you had a vaccine available. August 15th, 2020. They had 10 deaths in Israel, deaths by COVID or deaths with COVID, however they're calculating it over there. 10. Okay, this is the mainstream data. 10. This is August 15th, 2021, yesterday. 46 deaths. 46. They have a vaccine. Most of their population is fully vaccinated, and there are 46 deaths with or by COVID when last year there were 10. But they're going to convince you that you have to do it in Australia. They're locking you down until they do it. We have the data. If you look at the data out of Gibraltar, they have over 99% of their population vaccinated, and the virus is not going away. NBC News and CNBC is calling it mythical. They're saying scientists are now saying that herd immunity is mythical. It's not really gonna, come. So what are they doing? They're like trying to starve people in New York City, keep them out of a job, when we have the data from Johns Hopkins straight out of Israel that 46 people died yesterday from COVID, and a year ago it was only 10. That's the data, folks. You can make of it what you want. Blame the Lambda, the Delta, the unvaccinated, but something's not adding up, folks. I'm just saying, let's see what the experts say. The experts, the same ones that failed in Afghanistan, saying, oh, this won't happen, and then it all happened. And real quick, while we're talking about Johns Hopkins, I know you guys can't see this, but it's JSU. This data comes from Johns Hopkins University, the very prestigious, I'm just going to throw those on the floor. I don't need those papers right now. This is also out of Johns Hopkins from 2018. I'm just going to read this. This is CNBC mainstream stuff. It said a recent Johns Hopkins study claims that more than 250,000 people in the U.S. die every year from medical errors. I didn't say that. It's not a conspiracy theory. That's the same data that they're putting on Google as the mainstream data. Johns Hopkins University said 250,000 people die every year from medical errors. That's what they said, not me. If you got a problem with that, talk to Johns Hopkins, okay? Because they said it. So why aren't we allowed to visit our family in hospitals again? Oh, just ignore the fact that maybe 250,000 people. Just don't even look at that data from Johns Hopkins. You just have to sit outside the waiting room and we'll take care of your grandma. Yeah, I'm sure you will. There's a lot of great doctors and nurses, but I would prefer not living in like a medical authoritarian world. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I should just sit down, slap a mask on my face, be like Australia, not go outside, get yelled at by the police, not be able to go to the beach. That sounds really healthy. Or maybe I should just go to Israel. Not that they would even like me there, but maybe they would. I know I have a lot of Israel supporters. I'm just saying, government probably not. Anyway, it's like maybe I should just go to Israel and just say, oh, I'm so good because we're 60% vaccinated, and ignore the fact that they had 36 more deaths, on August 15th this year, when the jab was, whatever. Maybe I should just ignore this stuff. I can't though. Anyway. Australia is the big story. Afghanistan is the big story of the day. I just had to get that off my chest. Anyway, Afghanistan, before we get to what Joe Biden did, trillions of dollars, trillions. We spent trillions. A trillion is 1,000 billion. It's hard to even fathom because a billion's 1,000 million. And we're just dumping money into the Middle East. And for years, they told us, from conservative media on Fox News to liberal media, They told us that we're like, I don't know, building schools or saving their country or something. I don't know what we thought we were doing, but I'm sure it wasn't happening. I'm sure maybe they built a school or two or something. But anyway, it's like we can't even save our own cities. New York City's going down the drain. Los Angeles is great. It's a shell of what it once was. Detroit is a shell of what it was 40 years ago. We can't even save our own cities, but we're going to go over to Kabul and turn it into like San Francisco. I don't even understand what happened. But I think now the good news is people realize that they were lying, or at least they were incompetent of even lifting us up by our own bootstraps, let alone going over to Afghanistan and doing it. But it's a failure that's been happening for a long time. A politician who I actually had the common sense to like when I was younger. I was never conservative. I was never Republican. I didn't even know what conservative meant. But I always could identify Ron Paul, the legendary Ron Paul. I was like, that guy, he doesn't remind me of a sneaky guy. Like, I trust that guy. I always liked Ron Paul. I didn't even know he was a Republican or a conservative or libertarian. I was just like, Ron Paul, when he talks, I want to listen, because he just makes he sounds like he's not a normal politician. Anyway, Ron Paul warned everybody of this stuff for 10, 20, 30 years. I found old tweets of Ben Shapiro. I'm not trying to dig up this guy's history, but he was literally smearing Ron Paul as Ron Paul's warning America about regime change war. He's warning America about Afghanistan. Ben Shapiro sitting there calling him an anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist, literally equating him telling the truth about the war on terror to fluoride in the water. I could read the tweet for you, but I might get banned because it's Ben uses some wording that I can't use. Anyway, he said, politics isn't beanbag, it's the beanie wearing, I can't even say Ben's race or else they'll ban me, putting fluoride in the water. He was literally saying oh my God, look at this conspiracy theorist. He was saying Ron Paul's manifestly insane. As in previous debates, he's now gripping the pen as he would the neck of Ben's ethnic race. Literally, Ron Paul's just sitting there. He's like a nice guy. He's like, hey, maybe we should stop going to war. And Ben Shapiro's like, oh my God, you're trying to choke me. You're trying to kill me. You're an anti-Semite. It's like, no, Ben, he's just trying to save money in Afghanistan. Literally, these are the heroes that people have. I don't have competition. I'm only a competition with myself, trying to be better every day. I'm just saying, if these are your idols on the conservative side, you're going to keep losing literally forever, because they were trying to convince you that it was a conspiracy theory against a race of people when Ron Paul literally just said, stop wasting money in Afghanistan. Anyway, let's go to today. Why is this Joe Biden's fault? It's a lot of people's fault, but Joe Biden and Blinken, what is his name? Anthony Blinken or something, or I don't even know his first name, but I find it weird. The Secretary of State under Biden, it's Blinken. When you put it together, it's like Abe Lincoln, but he's clearly not Abe Lincoln. I always just thought that was kind of weird. Anyway, if you watch videos of Biden and Biden's Secretary of State, they promised you, we're going to pull out and, we have a plan and it's all going to go fine. It's not going to be like this country or this country. It's just going to go smooth. And clearly they didn't have a good plan. I don't think they gave people fair warning. It's a complete mess. And I think they screwed up. And I think they're completely incompetent. Honestly, I think, Biden's administration, it's a lot of Obama hangovers. If you look at everybody, half of Biden's cabinet are just like Obama's cabinet. It's just copy and paste. But anyway, I don't know if they're teaching military people how to, pronouns and wearing masks and doing little dances on Pride Month or something. But, that doesn't really translate to the Middle East. So as far as pulling out of a country where another regime is going to take over when you leave, you should probably plan it out a little bit better and think about journalists who are stuck there and people who don't want to be there, et cetera. They claim that our embassy was going to be fine. Oh, we're going to leave and it's going to be fine. And we'll see what happens, but I think they did screw up. I think it looks pretty bad on them. And I don't think they're a serious regime. I mean, I don't want to sit here and sound like a normal Republican just blaming Joe Biden for everything, but the media Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Trevor Noah, all these people CNN, MSNBC, their whole job, even SNL, it's now propaganda to just make it look like Joe Biden's so cool and everybody else is so bad. It's he doesn't really do that much. And, when actual things happen, you can't just make an SNL skit and act like it went away. It's going to take some real leadership. And I don't think we really have that right now. I think Joe Biden is a transparent president, not because he tells everybody the truth, because I don't think that guy is capable of running the country. So I think for the first time in America, people are starting to question who's running the show if it's not that guy. And I think the president has probably not been the head guy for a long time. Of the country, yes, but there were always a lot of people in the Bush administration, et cetera, who kind of ran the show. So I think that's one positive thing Biden's doing, is showing people that he's not really doing that much. So the question is, who's doing that much? I hope somebody's doing something in his administration, because I don't think that he is. So pretty bad look for them, not because they pulled out, just because they had a piss poor strategy of doing so and didn't really think it through and made a bunch of promises that this won't happen, and it is happening. Now I got to get to the part that I'm excited to talk about, because you're not going to hear this. You're certainly not going to hear it on Fox News. You'll never hear it on CNN. Maybe, but probably not. You're not going to hear this anywhere. Why does the Taliban hate us? They're chanting death to America, which I don't agree with. I live in America. I'm not trying to die via the Taliban. So I don't like that they chant that. I'm an American. I'm a Christian. I love this country. And, no offense to Afghanistan. God bless Afghanis. I love Afghanis, but like, it's not my country. So I try to focus on my own country. And, that's it. I side with America, not Afghanistan or the Taliban. With that being said, I know why the Taliban hates us, and it's not why people think. I'm going to read you something. This is just on Wikipedia. It's all over the place, but I just wanted to show you how mainstream it is. It's not like I had to deep dive through garbage dumpsters on DuckDuckGo to find this. I love DuckDuckGo. I'm just saying this is like mainstream data that you can find in 30 different places. This is straight off Wikipedia. It says, and I know people are going to say, well, Wikipedia is not a real source. I'm just trying to show you how mainstream it is. And Wikipedia has a left-leaning bias now. Even one of the founders admitted that. Anyway, this is straight off the rise of the Taliban, it says. They talk about the rise of the Taliban from 1994 to 2001. It said right here, it says, in July 2000, Taliban leader Mullah Mohammed Omar collaborated with the UN to eradicate heroin production in Afghanistan, declaring that growing poppies was un-Islamic, resulting in one of the world's most successful anti-drug campaigns. The Taliban enforced a ban on poppy farming via threats, forced eradication, and public punishment of transgressors. The result was a 99% reduction in the area of opium poppy farming in Taliban-controlled areas, roughly 3/4 of the world's supply of heroin at that time. The ban was effective only briefly due to the deposition of the Taliban in 2002. And deposition in this case means overthrowing. So the Taliban was eliminating poppy and eliminating heroin, not just in their country by 99%, but across the world by 75%. So they were destroying heroin and poppy fields. And then the Taliban got overthrown by, I don't know, George Bush and whatever. And then all of a sudden, heroin and poppies and started increasing again. So they were actually doing a good job of doing that. I'm not saying they're perfect. I'm not a Taliban person. I'm not Islamic. I'm just saying they hate us because we went in and we spread a bunch of drugs. And that's what America needs to realize, that America was great when we were a Christian constitutional nation. When we were a Christian and constitutional nation that had freedom but served under God, we were the envy of the world. We were the envy of the Asian world. We were the envy of Europe. Everybody envied the United States when we were a godly country that served Christ and also served our Constitution. We're not the envy of the world anymore. Our exports are like opioids, pharmacy products, sodomy, LGBT flags, like degenerate culture. And I'm just being honest. I'm not being hateful. I'm not judging people what they do in the bedroom. I'm just being honest. We're not the same America that we were 60 years ago. So when we go to the Taliban's country and we go to Afghanistan, I'm American. I'm a Christian. I'm not an Islamic Taliban member. I side with my team. However, I'm just being honest. They hate us because they're godly. They love Allah. They pray multiple times a day. They don't believe women should vote or be in powerful positions. I'm not saying that's my belief. I'm saying that's their belief. So you come in with this culture that is totally the opposite of their culture, which is pray 8 times a day, put God above the man and the man above the woman, don't allow sodomy, don't allow degenerate opioid use and poppy fields, killing people with heroin. And America comes and puts up an LGBT flag and says sodomy, opioids, heroin, flags. It's like, they don't like that, and they've said that multiple times. If you listen to these people, they don't hate you because of your freedom. That's what they'll tell you on Fox News. They hate you because you're free. That's not why they hate you. I'm not agreeing with it. I'm just saying they hate you because you bring degenerate Western liberal culture to their area, and they're way more godly and way more strict than you are. It's like going to a Baptist church where they love Jesus and don't believe in, they believe the first and the second part of the Bible, and you come waving like a LGBT Black Lives Matter flag. They're not going to like you, just like a Christian wouldn't like you that's super strict. That's how they are, except they're even more strict than most Christians, like so strict that the Western world doesn't want to be a part of it. That's fine. You don't have to be a part of it. But my solution is we have to fix ourselves. We have to. If we don't fix ourselves, we're not the envy of the world anymore. We have to fix ourselves. We have to fix our cities. One of the greatest cities in the world, I believe, is New York City. New York City is mandating vaccine passports in order to go indoors. Not only is that going to ruin life for the unvaccinated, it also ruins life for the vaccinated. If you want to get on a cruise now out of Florida, now you have to get a test up your nose. Now you have to wear a mask, even if you're vaccinated on Carnival in Royal Caribbean. They're ruining the Western world. We're not free anymore. The ex-president is Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump is not allowed on Facebook. He's not allowed on Twitter. And even though he's selling vaccines and he annoys me, I'm not a psychopath. I wish he was on Twitter. I miss him and his funny statements. I wish he was on Facebook. Of course he deserves a. We're not free anymore. We're not the freest country in the world. We're a disgusting culture. It's gross. And it's gross for Christians. It's certainly gross for people who believe in Islam. And it's disgusting. And this is what both parties are trying to export to the world. I'm not saying I agree with what happens in Palestine or Afghanistan or Iraq or Libya or Syria. That's not what I'm saying. But I think in order to change the world, you have to change yourself. If you're great, everybody's going to want to be like you. You can't just export a culture that you can't even control yourself and then tell everybody else to do it, because they're going to hate you. And at a certain point, you're going to stop serving God. You're going to be serving Satan. And once you do that, and you have both parties in this country not serving the Lord, but serving the opposite, you're going to see a decline in our country, because we don't have God's favor anymore, because we're not a godly country. And I just want to show you something, and I'm not trying to pick on people. I just want to show you how it's not just a liberal thing, and it's not just a Democrat thing. And if you want to go to my Telegram, t.me/DreamRareChat, you can see a whole thread where I explained the people that the Republican Party serve is not Christ and it's not America. I'm sorry, it's just not. This real quick is Charlie Kirk. He's one of the biggest people with one of the biggest Christian conservative organizations in America. This was just from a few years ago. This is 2019, so right before the pandemic. I'm just going to read it real quick. This is Charlie Kirk. He said, breaking. Today, the dictators of Palestinian Authority just banned all LGBT activity. Meanwhile, in Israel, they have massive gay pride parades. Why is the left so silent when human rights are abused in Palestine? So this is him saying, how dare Palestine, ban LGBT activities? In America, we have Gay Pride Month that lasts all month, and all the corporations are on it. In Israel, they have massive gay pride parades, and in Palestine, they're shutting that down. How dare them? And you have Zionists like Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump. They dupe Christian conservatives into thinking we need to run around the Arab world and make them gayer than they already are. I'm not saying I care what happens in the bedroom. I'm not God. I'm not a judge. I don't work for the government. I don't make the laws. I'm just saying we have issues in our country that we can't solve. The last thing we should be doing is running around the Middle East with Donald Trump, Jared Kushner, and Charlie Kirk and telling them that they have to, have more sodomy there. I don't think that's very Christ-like. I don't think that's very biblical. I think it's very wicked. And I think that's who the Republican Party is. They complain to you. And I'm not trying to be mean to people, because I don't care what you do, but I'm just being honest. In America, all the conservatives complain and say, there's like children at these pride events, right? You got like 5-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 6-year-olds, and they're watching a bunch of like kinky guys wear like no clothes and pat each other on the butts. And Americans in America are like, hey, you shouldn't have that at gay pride parades. And liberals are writing op-eds. This is why they should introduce it to your kids at 4 years old. And this is why it's fine. So the point I'm getting to is I'm not trying to judge people, but in America, my country, we don't have a grasp on our culture. We are losing it. It's infiltrating every public school. It's infiltrating Disney and Nickelodeon. And it's blatantly at these pride parades in our own country. We can't even control what's going on here. So why in the world would we want to bring this to Palestine and Afghanistan? That's what we do. That's why they hate us. And the reason that they're doing it is because the Republican Party is not a nationalist party. They're not a godlike party and a Christian party. They just wear cowboy hats, go to your church, acting like a conservative, and preach Zionism, which is not Christianity and it's not American patriotism. It's Zionism. It serves an entire different ideology, ethnic nationalism, and a different religion that is not Christianity. I have nothing against Islam, but I'm not Islamic. So, if somebody wanted to do Islam in America, as someone who's a Christian, it's not my thing. In Israel, I don't care what they do. I'm not Jewish by ethnic and I'm not Jewish by religion. And I have no problem with what they're doing, but I wouldn't want to force them to do what I'm doing. And I don't want to force Afghanistan to do what I'm doing. But that's what the party in America does, is they take a whole nother person's agenda, a whole nother religion, which is like the antithesis of Christianity, put it at the front of your religion and tell you that you're joined by the hip forever and that is somehow biblical when it's not. And our whole country is going to hell because of it. That's not to say a certain group of people is horrible or better than others or worse. That's not what I believe. What I do believe is when America was a Christian nation that served God on both parties, America was the envy of the world. Now that America is a dual party, you have one party that is just completely degenerate in the liberal party, and the conservative party clearly prioritizes other countries, other people, and other agendas to the point where one of your most famous Christian conservatives is throwing a hissy fit because Palestine won't allow gay parades. That's just a little bit weird to me. I'm not saying I agree with what's happening in Palestine, but I don't agree what's happening in America. I don't think what's happening medically is okay, socially, literally, economically. Like, our country is being imploded, okay? Afghanistan is a disaster, but it wasn't just Joe Biden that printed the money. So is it annoying that Joe Biden's such a bad president? Of course. But I think what annoys me even more is we had a Republican president last year. We had a Republican Senate last year, and they printed upwards of, I just researched yesterday, I've been saying 6 trillion, it's like $9 trillion. You think when Mitch McConnell, Donald Trump, Nancy Pelosi, the Congress, the House, the Senate, when they print $9 trillion in 2020, you think that's not going to lead to inflation? Inflation is not Biden inflation. He's just the fall guy. But also, he's a terrible president who doesn't know how to stop printing either. So he's bad too. But it's like, what's even crazier to me is when we had power, we have people trying to go to Palestine and export our culture there. And then we have people going to Afghanistan trying to export our culture there. And then we have these people who stand on stage and tell you socialism sucks, socialism sucks. And they literally engage in socialism. When you print $9 trillion when the country shut down, you're beyond a socialist. You're getting to the point where it's like starting to seem a little communist. It's starting to seem, it's not just like, oh, we're printing money for Social Security. It's like we're printing $9 trillion and grandpa's shop can't even open up. It's a little weird, so that's a bigger deal to me. And America's never going to get better if the left just blames the right and the right just blames the left, because the truth is it's both of them. It was George W. Bush, it was Barack Obama, it was Donald Trump, and now it's Joe Biden. And it hurts people's feelings because some people love Barack Obama, so they don't want to hear he did it, right? Some people love Bernie Sanders. They don't want to think that he's in on it. Some people love Donald Trump. He's probably the most loved character in modern political history. I don't want to hear that he's doing it. So we're never going to get better because our culture is going down the tubes. And that's what I think we need to do is, before we go to Palestine, before we go to Sudan, before we go to Libya and Syria, we need to focus on ourselves. And if we're exporting God-like aura, I think God will bless our country. If we're exporting satanic degeneracy in both parties to the Arab world, we are not going to be blessed by God. And that's why America is going down to the tubes, because both parties are exporting satanic culture and satanic, ideas and trying to force them down everybody else's throat. We have to focus on ourselves. We just have to. And when we become a great country again, a great nation that has great morals and great laws and great rules, naturally the rest of the world will want to follow us. What we did in Libya, I'm not a fan of Muammar Gaddafi. I'm not Libyan. I don't know that much about him per se. But we went to Libya and we killed the leader. And once we killed the leader, slavery went there. You think God is going to bless us when we kill a leader of a foreign country and slavery takes over there? God's not going to bless us if that's what we're doing in Libya. Syria, I know Ben Shapiro and these little sneaky neocons tried to convince you and say, oh my God, we're fighting terrorism. But in Syria, if you look at Syria before the Syrian war that America helped cause and start and mess up a little bit more, Syria had some of the most Christians in the Middle East. So if you're a Christian, you shouldn't think Syria is filled with terrorists. They celebrate Christmas every year. Look at Google Christmas in Damascus. Not only do Christians live and thrive in Syria, they are celebrated in Syria. It wasn't until America under Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama started trying to meddle with that and overturn Bashir al-Assad that all of a sudden Christians are being persecuted and executed, and ISIS, Al-Qaeda, al-Nusra start taking over because we stuck our nose in a country where Christians were treated well and millions of Christians were displaced and hopefully not killed. So that's not very Christ-like. I know Ben Shapiro will try to convince you that it's a Judeo-Christian value to go regime change Syria, but he's a liar and he's a fraud, and he's been trying to deceive Christians and conservatives for years into thinking people like Ron Paul are conspiracy theorists, anti-Semites, when really he's an American patriot who's trying to tell you not to go to countries and spread your degenerate, disgusting culture and try to regime change the president. So what we did in Syria was wicked. God's not going to bless America if we're doing that in Syria. Donald Trump, to his credit, did a way better job in Syria. He was a little sneaky, but for the most part, Donald Trump actually did a lot better than Obama and Hillary, and he deserves credit for that. So that's what we've been doing. We've not been going around the world spreading Christianity and spreading patriotism and Americanism. We went to Syria, where Christians are celebrated, and turned it into a messy, messy country. And with Afghanistan, I'm not saying we made it better or worse, because I'm sure we just ran in circles for 20 years. But if you read about how the Taliban was eliminating opioids and poppy seeds, rather, and then we come in and all of a sudden we start growing heroin so the whole world can take care. That's not very Christ-like. I'm not saying that they're good and we're bad, but that's not very godly. And if you look at America, we're 5% of the population. According to CNBC in 2016, we're taking 80% of the opioids. So we're only a small percentage of the world taking well over 75% of the world's opioids. We have an issue here. And that's not to say everybody else is good. I don't think Bashir al-Assad is great, or Muammar Gaddafi was like a stand-up amazing person. I'm just saying we're doing wicked things all over the world, making people things worse, and being the hypocrite who tells everybody, you got to be like us, when we don't even want to be like us. Liberals don't want to be like us. Liberals hate the country. Democrats don't even pretend to like us anymore. And Republicans hate the culture that's taking over their cities and their states and Texas and Florida. So we're kind of in agreement that from liberal to conservative, we can pretty much agree we don't even like our culture anymore. So it's time to have a renaissance in this country. And it doesn't start by blaming them because both parties are in on it. I've demonstrated that today, and I've told people that for 2 or 3 years, because once I figured out how, God will never bless our country unless we bless ourselves. Once we become the light of the world again with morals and values and not trying to export drugs and pharmacy pills and degeneracy, we will be blessed again, because America's a special, special place, but it hasn't been. And that's my rant on that. Someone said, don't know what to say. Listening is great sometimes. I'm not, obviously I talk a lot, but the reason I know so much, I'm not a know-it-all, but I know a lot because I listen a lot. I don't know a lot because I talk every day. I've done tens of thousands of hours of research. And when somebody like myself goes on BitChute or Rumble or YouTube or Facebook and educates me with something I didn't know, I listen. Like the other day, I showed an executive order that President Trump passed, and someone said, oh my God, you just hate Trump. I'm showing you an executive order. The reason I know about it is because someone showed it to me. I would be a moron if every time somebody showed me something new, I just sat there and foamed at the mouth because I like Donald Trump or something. It's like, that's how you become a fool. You know, the only reason I know all this stuff is because I listen and learn. And when someone brings something that shatters the illusion that I had, I don't hate them because of it. I love them because of it. I'm like, I've heard stuff that went against Trump 3 years ago. I still like Donald Trump, but I never treated people the way they treat me. I've been treated like shit over the last year and a half because I told the truth about the lockdowns, because I told the truth about Operation Warp Speed, because I told the truth about Trump's opinions. And I got treated like shit from Trump supporters, even though I liked the guy, because I was just relaying information that was inconvenient but true. And when people told me inconvenient information about Trump years ago, I didn't hate them for it. Even though I liked Trump, I listened and I learned. And I was like, wow, I had no idea. You know, we're about to talk about George Soros real quick because he has an op-ed, but there's somebody on the right wing who funds people the same way George Soros. It's not a conspiracy theory. George Soros is a billionaire who funds a lot of operations because he believes in an open society foundation. On the right wing, there's somebody like that too. His name is Sheldon Adelson. He's rest in peace. He's passed away, but he's a bigger donor than George Soros in certain categories in America. So once you realize that there's somebody funneling money to Trump and DeSantis and all these Republicans, and it's worth knowing, is it not? It doesn't mean you have to hate Trump or DeSantis, but it's like, wow, I had no idea there were hundreds of millions of dollars coming from one guy to the Republican Party. Then it's smart to listen to what that guy thinks, because he has videos where he explains exactly where his loyalty is and which country that's to and which agenda that's true. So that's how I learned these things. I knew these things years ago, but I saw Trump executing. I was like, crushing, crushing, crushing. So who cares? I'll give him a pass on a lot of stuff. But someone said, I don't know what to say. Sometimes it's good to just listen. And I'm not saying that because I talk too much, but I listen to people all the time and I don't get mad when they tell me stuff. Anyway, this is George Soros. Recently, he wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, right? The Wall Street Journal is like the conservative, news outlet, or they claim to be, or whatever. He said, I consider Xi Jinping to be the most dangerous enemy of open societies in the world. So George Soros, for a long time, I actually talked about this years ago. He's always been against China. He's always been against the Hong Kong protests. And I told people a year ago, I said, the only thing that Mike Pompeo, George Soros, Nancy Pelosi, Donald Trump, all these people who seemingly hate each other, right? The only thing that they ever agreed on was the Hong Kong protests and like regime change in Venezuela every now and then. It's like, it's not the things they disagree on that's interesting. It's the things that they agree on, because they agree on nothing except for this one thing. I told people that a year ago. But if you listen to most conservatives, they'll tell you, well, George Soros and China are working hand in hand. And just to clarify, because people are going to put words in my mouth, I don't agree with George Soros. He has a certain agenda for the world, Open Society Foundation. I have kind of the opposite views of George Soros. I think every country and nation should work together, but I don't believe in an open society, like global, order. I don't like what he does. Same thing with Xi Jinping. I'm not a communist. I'm not Chinese. I'm not a Chinese communist. So I don't agree with Xi Jinping. That's not my ideal form of government. And I don't want to live in China, to be quite honest. But this is where people get it wrong, because a lot of Trump supporters and conservatives, all they know is China because they listen to Steve Bannon or Dan Bongino. And, I'm not knocking these people. Both are very smart. Both are worth listening to. I think Steve Bannon's brilliant. And so is Dan Bongino. I think he makes very valid points. But I'm just saying, they don't talk about everything all the time. They're always just saying China, 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 China. So all conservatives know is China, 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 China. But there's an even bigger story going on. So when it comes to George Soros, most conservatives would think, well, China's working with George Soros. China's working with the liberals. And in some cases, they are working with liberals. But George Soros has always been against China. I'm sure they work together. But, there's different power structures going on and different ideas of the world. With Xi Jinping, I can't tell you everything that they're beefing about, but he believes in Chinese nationalism, right? They're a communist party, but the goal of communist China is to enrich China. So China's kind of like a communist nationalist party. If you look at what Xi Jinping is doing, he's not trying to make his country weaker. He's trying to make them stronger at all costs. He's using communism to pretty much lock his country down and say, we are going to be as strong as possible, and I don't care who that affects. So he's doing national communism. So he's doing programs for kids to get stronger. He wants the Chinese men to be strong. And, I'm not saying I agree with communism. I'm just saying he's a nationalist communist. He wants them to be as strong as possible and make China the superpower of the world, right? So George Soros is totally different. Although they both have those kind of ideals when it comes to, communism of some sorts, George Soros is not a nationalist communist when it comes. He doesn't want America to be super strong, or he doesn't really care about China. He's trying to, open society in many ways, kind of unite the world under his brand of communism. And if you follow the liberal brand of socialism and communism, it's way less nationalistic. They don't believe in nationalism. Like China believes in the nation of China. George Soros doesn't believe in nations. He wants an open society. He wants everybody to unite under this like global type of order. And that's why he talks about that stuff. So it's a different type of ideology. And that's what they're doing in America. If you look at American socialism, they're not trying to make men stronger. They're trying to make men weaker, right? They're not trying to have everybody be jacked. If you work out, they write op-eds and they're like, anybody who's strong and has muscles is a right-wing conspiracy theorist, like extremist. Like they're doing everything in their power, the left-wing version of socialism and communism. They're doing everything in their power to make you weaker, to make you dumber. They want you to be like, they're like, oh, don't be fatophobic, but we're going to make fun of people with muscles. It's like China's doing the opposite. They're like, we want our nation to be as strong as possible, and all our men to be as strong as possible. So I know a lot of these influencers tell you China's working with George Soros, liberals. China, they don't know what they're talking about. Yes, China works with liberals in Hollywood. Yes, China controls so many of the things that we buy. I mean, China has a huge grip on our market, but it's deeper than that. And there's different sort of powers that are going on. And I can't really speak for Soros because I don't know exactly where he lands, but there are different countries and different people that want to kind of control the global sphere and have an input with different ideas of it. And while I completely do not agree with Xi Jinping, I'm not Chinese, I'm not a communist, he cares about his nation. He wants his nation to be strong. He wants his men to be strong at all costs. What they're doing to us is like the opposite. They want us to be weak at all costs. So he's a good leader for China, I think. But as far as is he a good leader for global communism? Well, no, he kind of screws that up because he wants it to be for China. And that's like Cuba. I'm not a communist. I know that Cuba is suffering, but America doesn't care about Cuba. American conservatives think all of a sudden we need to do something about Cuba. That push is being had in the media on both sides because Cuban communism is a threat to global communism. If everybody's established under open societies in a one, World Health Organization, UN, everybody gets along, you can't have separatist, nationalist communists. Cuba is a threat because they don't want American vaccines. The Taliban doesn't want them. And I'm sure China still has yet to give their people mRNA vaccines. The ones that Trump is bragging about? I'm not telling you what's good or bad or right or wrong. I'm just saying China is not playing along to the whole global order. It doesn't mean they're awesome. It doesn't mean they're your new best friend. I'm just saying they don't give a shit about you, but they're honest about it. China cares about China. They don't care about you. What's more dangerous, the person that doesn't care about you, or the person that pretends to be your best friend, cozies up to you and your political party, and then leads you to the people who hate you? I mean, it's like the Malcolm X, like the wolf versus the sheep. So it's not to say that Cuba or China is great, but their set of national communism is a threat to global communism. So you're going to have these beefs, and nobody's going to explain it to you because they don't know what they're talking about, or they're just like one track minded. It's just like China, China, China. It's like, yes, China is doing what China needs to do for China, and they'll stomp all over the US. But the US is being most deceived from within. If we had real leaders and real political parties, we could address the nationalist communist of China regime and strongly combat it. But we don't really have that. We have a watered down, version of like liberal communism where they literally hate the nation state. They want to destroy the nation. They want to destroy the family. They want to destroy the strength among men. That's what they're doing. And if you look up what eugenics means, I'm not saying this is eugenics, but I'm saying if you look up what eugenics mean, eugenics is when you kill people, do certain stuff. It's not my thing. I'm just trying to explain to you what it is. Making your state as strong as possible. That's what they say. Okay, we don't want weakness. We don't want these people with disabilities. It's weird. Helen Keller was like pro eugenics, even though she would be the first one to go. I don't understand that. Look it up, seriously. But anyway, it's like, that's what eugenics is. We got to do irrational, wicked things in order to make our nation and our people as strong as possible. What they're doing to us, in my opinion, is like literally the opposite of eugenics. It's like, we need to rig everything, shut down businesses, and make this country as weak as possible. That's what they're trying to do to us. It's like a sicko, more messed up version than eugenics, where instead of hurting people like they shouldn't to make us stronger, they're hurting everybody to make us as weak and dumb as possible. That's what they're doing to us. It's like, you can't go to gym. If you're black and you're 70% of New York City, we're not going to let you in a restaurant. We're not going to let you in a gym. That's like manipulating society in order to hurt people. And that's the difference. I'm not saying that China is great, because I don't think they are, but the nationalist communists care about their country, or pretend to, or care about economics, and will, wipe people off the map in order to make their country stronger. I don't agree with that. I don't think it's a very moral system. But that's what they're doing. The worst people in the world are like the liberal communists who literally want to abolish your family. They write op-eds in Bloomberg and tell you that renting's better than owning, and you shouldn't own anything, and your kids should be as weak as possible, and just identify as a string bean when they're 12 years old and go watch SpongeBob and, go to San Francisco. Like, those are the worst people. I'm sorry. They're like 20 times worse because they're trying to manipulate and rig society to make you as weak as possible. So that's the difference of what's going on with that little, oh, I thought they were all right. They're not. And that's what I want to say about the Republican Party. I'm sorry if this isn't popular. I'm sorry if people will misdescribe this as hate speech. I can't help the fact that I'm not allowed to speak the truth to you anymore because there's all sorts of ways. But the Republican Party, who's fighting the liberal socialists who don't give a shit about you, they're not patriots. They're not American first, nationalists. They're not Christian first Christianity. They're Zionists. They serve the agenda of Zionism. And you could watch videos on it or watch documentaries. It matters because it's not what America was founded on. Theodore Herzl created Zionism, and it has a very specific agenda for a certain ethnicity and a certain group. So you have Americans doing the bidding of somebody else and convincing you that it's for your own self-interest when your country's morphing for a reason, because you don't have a real party that's protecting things. You have Charlie Kirk telling you that you need to go to Palestine and make sure that they have more LGBT pride parades. Is that Christ-like? Of course not. We are exporting wickedness to the world, and we're going to suffer because of it. And that's not to judge anybody individually. That's just who we are now. We have a two-party system that is completely fraudulent. They will print trillions of dollars. They will all sell the big pharma product when it comes out. Charlie's doing a good job standing against it, but it's like, we don't need to export this to America. We need to become better ourselves. And we're never going to do that because we've been deceived by both parties. They're both burying us. And then they pass it back and forth like, oh my God, it's Biden. Biden sucks, but Biden did not print $9 trillion in 2020. Donald Trump did. Biden did not lock the country down with 15 days to slow the spread. Donald Trump did. And I'll tell you what, I know this is going to hurt people's feelings. I know they don't want to hear it. I'm not blaming Trump, but if Obama said 15 days to slow the spread, nobody would have believed him on the right wing. If Hillary Clinton said, I have to lock you in your house for 15 days, nobody would have followed her on the right wing because nobody would have trusted it. If Joe Biden said, I have to lock you inside for 15 days, nobody would have followed it. If Bernie Sanders said that, or any Kamala Harris said that, nobody would have followed it on the right wing. The only way they got you to fall for this communist Trojan horse, which has destroyed your country, printed $9 trillion, ushered in medical tyranny that still has not gone away. The only way they got this in America and got conservatives to fall for it is because they got the most popular Republican in history, Donald Trump, to do it and work with Fauci and put him on television and extend the lockdown past Easter and sell the vaccines. And I don't know if they purposely did that, but it's so clear to me, like, a Democrat couldn't have got Republicans to lock down. Only Trump could have done that. So the most frustrating part about how bad Joe Biden is he didn't even bring the worst of it in 2020. That was Donald Trump. That was the Republican Party. And people still haven't figured it out because they're following people that serve an ulterior agenda to nationalism or conservatism or Christianity. They serve literally like a satanic agenda. And I'm sorry, but it's like, if you're Islamic, you're Islamic. If you're Christian, you're Christian. If you're atheist, you're atheist. If you're Jewish, you're Jewish. There's nothing wrong with it. You are who you are. You love the religion you love. But Christian Zionists have convinced you that your religion is literally putting another religion that's like the opposite of your religion before your religion. And then you're wondering why you're going away. It's like, because nobody's there serving you. You have false leaders convincing you that your religion doesn't matter if you put an entire religion before your own religion, an entire country before your own country, because that's what they're serving. The, doctrine of Theodore Herzl and people who had an agenda that had nothing to do with protecting America or nothing to do with protecting Christians. It was an agenda of protecting his race, his religion, his world ideology, not yours, his. So that's who Charlie Kirk's serving. That's who Donald Trump's serving. That's who Ron DeSantis is serving. Do they help you out more than Democrats? Absolutely. But are they prioritizing you first? Absolutely not. They're not. That's why they pass speech laws. And I'll tell you what, eventually your Bible is going to be illegal. It already probably is in certain areas. If you try to preach the Bible in certain quotes in Revelations and certain quotes in the first the first part of the book, it's now deemed illegal. Liberals have made the first half of the Bible illegal. You can't talk about sodomy or anything that the Bible says in that. They'll call it hate speech. But the second half of the Bible in Revelation there's two specific quotes that would now be illegal in certain areas of America thanks to Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. They passed laws for Israel and some Jewish speech laws that go against the Bible. The Bible's not hateful. It's just something that's been around for thousands of years, and it's not talking about everyone. That's what they say. Oh, you hate everybody. It's like nobody hates everybody. It's just like you're not allowing us to be honest about certain things. Like you can't talk about ethnic religion. You can't talk about any of that. But that group of people and that political party is allowed to talk about my ethnicity and my religion all they want, which is fine with me. But it's not like a mutual thing. So you're not going to figure out that the Republicans are not on your side until your Bible is illegal. And it's not going to be just from liberals. And some people that are foaming at the mouth and like, I'm not even going to give you my energy or give you my negativity today. If you're not smart enough or wise enough to listen to like one of the 50 things that I told you that you probably never heard before, just click the unfollow button. Because it's like when you foam at the mouth and Donald Trump left it up to the liberals. He left the lockdown. He implemented 15 days to slow the spread. If Joe Biden was, I'm going to say this again. It's like, my gosh, how foolish could you be? If Joe Biden was president and said, hey, everybody should do 15 days to slow the spread, Republicans wouldn't have listened to him. Donald Trump is the leader of the Republican Party. Donald Trump was the leader of America. He sat on TV and said, it's time for us to lock down. He's the leader. Even if legislation-wise he doesn't do it, he tells Republicans what to do, and they either listen or don't listen. You guys are so dumb. You deserve what's going to happen. Everything that they claim they were doing to Arabs in the Middle East, they're now doing to you. And I hate to say it, but unfortunately, you deserve it because you're that foolish. It's like, we need the Patriot Act to go after the Taliban. It's like, yeah, good luck with that. 20 years, trillions of dollars wasted. Now what are they doing? Using the Patriot Act against you, treating you like an Arab, treating you like an Afghani, treating you like the Taliban. That's what they're doing. And that's what they always planned on doing. So wake up. It's like you deserve everything that's coming because you foam at the mouth when somebody tells you the truth. And I'm not going to be rude today, but people come in here and have something to say. Well, I don't like what you say. Oh, I'm disappointed in you. Wait till you hear how disappointed I am in you and your generation, because I could talk about it for 20 minutes. I won't today to spare everybody the sorrow, but you're disappointed in me. I'm glad you brought it up because I can't wait to tell you how disappointed I am in you. Okay? So the people that talk the most sometimes should just listen. Someone said, wake up. The U.S. is spiritually dead. But that's why. And I'm gonna break it down again. If you have one party that's serving a world, we need to do everything for the world, but they hate you, they hate the majority race in this country, they hate conservatives, they hate Christians, they hate patriots, they claim to love black people, but then try to kick them out of restaurants when they don't get a vaccine. If that's the liberal party, right? We can identify that they probably don't care about you. Okay. Now, when you go to the Republican Party, you think that they're trying to put you in a place that they're not trying to put you in. And they proved that in 2020, and you still don't want to know. So it's like the liberals are driving the wagon. The Republicans are on the caboose. They're always just slowly doing what the liberals are doing, but they wear cowboy hats and come speak at your conservative church and tell you have to worship a foreign country, and you believe it. So that's why you're ending up in that position. It's beatable. People have to wake up, though. You are a product of what, who you are and what you do, and things change. Don't buy into this negative narrative like, oh my God, we're so screwed. There have been, the Soviet Union fell, communism fell in multiple countries in Europe. Things have been bad in Ukraine, and they're better now than they were. So you have to understand the pendulum always swings. Things change, things happen. The sun will come out tomorrow, said, who was that, Annie or something? I don't know. It's not the end of the world. That's what you tell yourself when you just don't want to face what's going on. It's like a form of weakness. And I'm not trying to be rude, but people are like, it's over, it's over, it's over. If you think it's over, but it's over because so many people don't want to do anything. And you don't have to do anything irrational or crazy. It's peaceful, it's calm, it's godlike. It's just listen, learn, and stop being a fool. It's really that simple. It's like, it's such a simple solution, but people would rather foam at the mouth when somebody tells them what's happening and continue making the same mistakes. And then 30 years down the road, they have something to say about it. It's like, I'm not trying to be rude, but I have like Someone said boomers get out of the way if you don't see the exception. I love boomers. I love Zoomers. I love Gen Z. I love millennials. I love all age group. We love grandmas here. We don't care if you're 22 or 102. We love everybody here. But it really rubs me the wrong way when like boomers hit me up on Twitter, like this guy, he's got his favorite sports team in his profile. He's like, Anomaly, I used to like you, but I'm going to unfollow now. It's like, bro, go watch the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. It's like he's tweeting at me from Virginia, telling me how disappointed he is. I mean, bro, I'm disappointed in you. You're 65 years old. Your identity is following a sports team, and you probably do nothing for your children and future generations because you're too lazy sitting on the couch watching football. Someone said it's a bot. It's not a bot. Everything's not a bot. There are bots. I've seen bots. I know how to tell the difference between a bot and a person. Some of these are real people, but it's like the least you could do is just zip the lips sometime. Like Lisa comes in my Instagram. I'm so disappointed in you. Just wait till you hear how disappointed I am in you. It's like I don't come to your work or come to your live stream and tell you I'm disappointed in you. Just click the X button or unfollow me if you don't want to hear it. But it's like these people, it rubs me the wrong way. It's like, not only did you not do anything for 30 years, not only do you have no solution for it, not only are you running circles around the vaccine salesman with no plan, but when I actually do something, I pull my own weight. I've done, I think, enough in my category and in my profession. I'm only 31 years old. I'm running circles around these people. It's like the least you could do is just leave me alone. You know, the least you could do is not open your mouth. It's like, we get it. You can't it's like, it's kind of selfish. I'm not going to lie, but it's like, you know, a lot of these kids are $100,000 in debt. So many kids are overdosing on opioids. So many kids are getting abused at school. So many kids are being told because of their race, they're a victim, or because of their race, they're an oppressor. And the boomers just sit there and watch the Dallas Cowboys and complain about what I'm doing. It's like, it's so selfish. They have this attitude. Not everybody, I'm just being honest. It's like, well, I'm fine. You know, I screwed up and, you know, the future generations are screwed, but I'm fine. It's like, well, I have to live in this world for the next 30 years, hopefully. But in general, it's like, yeah, you know, it's like, we get it. You don't care about anything. And then I come around and care, and you don't want to hear why I care and what I'm talking about. Then go watch the Cowboys. I like sports too, but sit on the couch, eat popcorn, gain weight, and watch the Dallas Cowboys. Don't tweet about what I'm saying because you can't handle it. Like a lot of people with Trump, I'm just on a truth stream right here. A lot of people with Trump were inspired because finally someone came along, right? When Trump came out, finally there's a guy who's talking shit. Finally, there's a guy who's going to stick it to Washington. Finally, there's a guy who's going to put our country on the right track. And so many people were inspired by Donald Trump, and that's a great thing. But then there's this portion of Trump supporters who they didn't like Trump out of like, you know, righteousness. They're lazy, and they saw Donald Trump as he's going to save my world, and I'm going to sit on the couch and watch the Dallas Cowboys. And Donald Trump is my greatest idol because he does everything that I could never do. And that's a lot of people. And it doesn't come from righteousness. It comes from selfishness. So once it became clear during the lockdown and Operation Warp Speed and after the election and Joe Biden's there and Trump's not there anymore, it became, whether you blame Trump or not, it became clear that Donald Trump was not going to be able to save the whole world right now, that it's going to take something more than that. And a lot of people looked at that and said, okay, that is what it is. I didn't want it to be like this, but we're going to have to do something too. And a lot of these boomers just sat there and they think Donald Trump is like Boomer Esiason, or Donald Trump is like Bart Starr, or like, you know, John Elway, and talking about him as sacrilegious because they're used to just sitting there watching the Broncos, and they don't want to hear about it. Where it's like, it doesn't make you a patriot. It doesn't make you like a loyal fan. It makes you like a moron. It makes you just like a lazy do nothing who didn't like Trump because he was revolutionizing stuff. You like Trump because you thought he was going to make all your mistakes better, and that your kids were going to get out of debt and everything was going to be perfect. And it wasn't true. So it's not a bad thing, and he's all to blame, but it's like so many people literally just idolize him because they don't want to do anything. They just want to sit there and act like someone's going to do it. And that's exactly what someone said, go Cowboys. I'm a Giants fan, so screw the Cowboys. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, I don't like the Cowboys. I don't hate you. It's just I like the Giants. Anyway, the biggest theory in right-wing media, the biggest theory from 2018 to 2022 or 2021 has been QAnon, who has told people that there's a military operation that's going to go into martial law so they can arrest all the pedophiles and the bad guys. Then when 2020 came around, the lockdown, all these people, they'll never admit it, but it's true, they thought the lockdown was a good thing because they were brainwashed by a message board to think that lockdowns were good. If you go, I have the book right here. I forget the exact detractor, but somebody who left, or defector, who left the Bolshevik regime and escaped, he talked about how they got conservatives and nationalists and patriots, how they got them to sit there and just allow it to happen. And you know how they did it? It was called Operation Trust. Just like Trust the Plan, they told people in the Bolshevik Revolution to trust the plan. They said military members and high-ranking officials are doing a mutiny behind closed doors, patriots, and don't be alarmed by what you see, because it's all part of the plan. That's what they did during the Bolshevik Revolution. It was a controlled opposition counterintelligence program to neutralize people who would see what's going on and peacefully resist it and disagree with it. And that's what they're doing now. It's the same thing. Literally, the Bolsheviks did this, and it's the same thing with QAnon. You have a bunch of these idiot accounts and egotistical frauds who literally are just all about themselves and their following and just don't have a brain or something. And they're telling patriots the military is in control. Yeah, that's really smart to just get people like that want to watch the Dallas Cowboys just sit on the couch and do nothing. Because don't you want to hear that? If you love Donald Trump and things aren't going as planned, do you want to do something about it and be a part of the change and actually do something in the community? No, you want to sit on the couch and watch X-22 report because he's telling you that the military is going to save you. It's the same exact controlled opposition counterintelligence program that they ran during the Bolshevik Revolution. I have the book here. Literally, it says during the Bolshevik Revolution that they used this fake idea that military generals were going to overturn the communist government. So you don't have to be alarmed. Just watch it all go to crap and just sit there. It's the same thing, and people still don't get it. Unbelievable. All right, I'm gonna read some comments. Someone said, if you want to talk about sports, I like sports. I really do. I like to play sports. I like to watch sports. But the point I'm getting to is we need men, especially. I don't care if you're 80 years old or 20 years old. It's like we need men to stand for something. If every man in this country, or half of the men in this country, politely, respectfully, peacefully, legally just said no to this medical tyranny, it would all go away. It's really that simple. But people don't want to do that. All right, I'll read this. Someone said, okay, you guys are talking to yourself. Someone said, this guy doesn't stutter at all, flows smooth. Well, thank you, PR Deacon. Clint said, I'm so grateful for the truth you speak and the eyes you continue to open. You inspired me to make hats and shirts. Can I share a link to the hats? Sure. Mine are at godblesshats.com, but you could for sure share it. I mean, I can't stop you. You could super chat it. You could not super chat it. It's up to you. Someone said Q people are so brainwashed like a cult, it made Trump supporters look crazy. It did two things. It not only made Trump supporters look crazy, but it got its way into the intelligentsia of the Trump world. So like 2016 to 2018, 2019, Trump influencers and stuff, they're telling the truth, this and that. I'm friends with a lot of people. They were trying to push this to me. I always knew it was skeptical. I'm like, dude, why would you believe 8chan? Like, it's a message board. Are you serious? And like, dude, it's got to be and they're like, they would always show me proof, and I'm like, that's not proof. So it got into the heads of not just the people who believed it, but it shifted the Overton window of what Trump supporters were talking about, and it kind of moved the whole movement in that direction. And what's really sick about it is human trafficking is real. Child trafficking is real. The whole QAnon is not built off of QAnon. It's built off of WikiLeaks and what people thought that the Julian Assange document said. And they took that and then and just said, well, if you don't believe Q, you're against human trafficking. You want the bad guys to win. If you don't believe David Wilcox is right and they're going to pop up at the houses, it's like, and then they became false prophets. They took real information. And that's how a lot of these sickos get a huge following. They get a huge following because one of the sickest things in the world is child trafficking. So a lot of people and a lot of mothers and a lot of women want to end child trafficking, and a lot of men too. So they take this real issue and say, you guys hate human trafficking, right? And they get all these mothers and they got these huge accounts and they say, I'm going to fight human trafficking by lying to you every single day. I'm going to fight human trafficking by telling you that the military is secretly in control. Like, that's not going to stop human trafficking. Start an organization if you want to stop human trafficking. If you want to make the big bust, you got to have evidence and information and real proof. You can't just sit on the couch and watch X22 report as he controlled op lies to you every day. That's not stopping pedophiles. So they're actually disgusting men because they're using pedophilia and child trafficking as an in to funnel people to their platform. And once they get you watching them, they don't bust human traffickers. They just sit there and lie to you every day and tell you that Trump's going to come back in office and he's got this secret deep state plan and they're underground and everything that happens secretly relates to that. Every day they lie. Literally, when the lockdown happened, all these accounts were saying the lockdown's a good thing. The tunnels in Italy mean the Vatican's being arrested because Italy's not on lockdown because the Vatican was being arrested. Italy was on lockdown because they were hurting the people of Italy. Operation Trust. It's the same thing the Bolsheviks did. So when Italy's suffering, you should be, if you weren't brainwashed by Q, you look at Italy and you say, oh no, they're hurting Italians. Oh no, they're locking down Italians. That's not good. But QAnon brainwashed people to think, oh, the lockdown is good because it's near the Vatican, so everything has to be Candyland in my world, and always good things are happening because I have to lie to myself. It's such a perverted, satanic operation. It's taking Christians and putting them towards a false prophet, lying to them. It's satanic. All right, let's calm down. And people were sharing fake articles about the Vatican. I like Lynn Wood. He's a nice guy, but he shared a fake article about the Vatican and then he deleted it. Like, it's like these people just like lose it and just start posting whatever they want to happen. It's like, I'm not a fan of the Vatican. I'm not a fan of what's going on in the world, but you can't just post fake articles about, Obama getting arrested and the Vatican getting arrested when you have this big following. And people look up to Lynn Wood and people look up to Mike Lindell and General Flynn, because they're figures of authority. And I think they're all nice people. I'm not going to lie. I don't think they're terrible, evil people. I think Lynn Wood is probably an awesome guy. I bet he's a super nice guy. Mike Lindell, you could tell he's a super nice guy. General Flynn looks like an awesome guy. I saw his son follows me on Twitter. I'm sure they're all awesome. But when you get so lost in the sauce, just remember, just like I have to remember, we have huge platforms and they're way bigger than me because they're generals and pillow salesmen and, God knows what. Big lawyers who busted big cases. So people are looking at you. When you say you're 100% sure, or you're 5 out of 5 that Trump's going to be back and he's coming back in August. And, the reason so many people believe that is because they think you have like secret intel or something. Like, well, he knows President Trump, so he wouldn't lie to me. But time and time again, their predictions are always wrong. There's a difference between saying I want Trump to come back and telling a bunch of people from a position of authority, 10 out of 10, I'm 100% sure Trump's going to be back in the office and, the Vatican got arrested. It's like, that's all I'm saying. I don't hate people. I think they're all nice, but it's like you're leading people to their own demise. You're becoming false prophets and false news and fake news. We don't want to do that because then it makes everyone look dumb. And then also it makes human trafficking look like a conspiracy theory when it's a well-documented issue in this world. It's not a theory. It's not this kooky thing. It's just the people running this operation are mixing it with the military's in control, which is like, it's such a joke, but it's okay. Someone said the U.S. government seems to really want to protect that poppy. I couldn't believe that when I read it. I'll read it again for those who just joined. In July 2000, Taliban leader Mullah Muhammad Ammar collaborated with the UN to eradicate heroin production in Afghanistan, declaring that growing poppies was un-Islamic, resulting in one of the world's most successful anti-drug campaigns. The Taliban enforced a ban on poppy farming via threats, forced eradication, and public punishment of transgressors. The result was a 99% reduction in the area of opium poppy farming in Taliban-controlled areas, roughly 3/4 of the world's supply of heroin at this time. The ban was only effective briefly because then America overthrew them and they started growing heroin again. This is why they hate us, folks. And it's not saying they're good and we're bad, but we got to stop doing this degenerate stuff. And I'll tell you what, I'm Christian, I'm not Islamic, but Islamic people are more conservative, the real ones, not the fake ones like the BLM churches. Like, they're way more conservative than Christian conservatives. So you're going to their place and putting they're going to hate you, just like a church would hate you for doing that. It's like, people are like, how are they conservative? Well, they conserve everything, or try to, more than conservatives in America. They don't believe in women's rights. They don't believe that a woman should show her face. They are more conservative when it comes to like In America, liberals are out doing whatever, doing drugs, and then you have conservatives that are like, you know what? I don't think women can do what they want, but I think, having a family is probably a smarter idea than doing all that stuff. Being like 40, having cats, and just chugging wine or whatever. That's like America. Like, so that's like conservatives are like, well, women are free, but like, I think really men and women should marry and have a family. If you go to Islam, it's even more conservative. They're like, I don't even think women should be in politics. I don't think LGBT and sodomy should be allowed at all. I think it should be illegal. So they're more conservative than conservatives. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but at one point in America, those were laws in America too. People don't remember that, but it wasn't always legal and it wasn't always accepted. And I'm not saying I judge people, but I think the slippery slope is real. If you want to know my opinion, I think the Bible is a very harsh document. It has very harsh rules, right? For us in this country, we're mostly degenerates. So we don't want to hear these rules. I don't want to hear what he wants to do to these people. I don't want to hear about this. I don't want to hear how strict God's rules are and how strict the Bible is, because it's scary if you live a life of degeneracy. So nobody wants to hear the Bible because it's scary. It's like, well, I'm not following any of these rules. Holy shit, I don't want to go to hell. But at the same time, I mean, were the pastors wrong? The pastors just said, if you do this, this is going to happen. If you do this, this is going to happen. I never believed it. I would have thought, no way. I mean, you guys are crazy. You guys like the Amish. This is old time Jones. This is new. I'm in the new era. We're playing video games and Sonic the Hedgehog, and the pastors were right. I was wrong. They let open the door of this type of degeneracy, and then it got to this, and then it got to this, and then it got to this, and now it's at this, and now they're pumping it into schools, and now it's for 5-year-olds. I mean, it's disgusting. The pastors were right. You open the door, and the slippery slope is real. So my opinion, it might not be popular, and I'm not saying I'm in a position or anyone's in a position to do that, but when America had more strict Christian rules, America was a more moral place, and America was the envy of the world. When there wasn't a lot of freedom in the world, there was a lot of freedom here. When there wasn't a lot of opportunity in the world, there was a lot of opportunity here. When there wasn't a lot of economic opportunity, there was here. So once we got away from that, and once we opened the door for degeneracy and it got here, we're a disgusting country with hyperinflation and, with lockdowns and mask mandates and vax. I don't think that's a coincidence. So I think that the Lord's laws are great. And I think that getting away from those are destroying our country. So when you have hardline Islamic countries, while I'm not Islamic, they have a hard rule against LGBT. They have a hard rule against women in politics. And that's not what we do here. However, I think it's wicked to go to their country and tell them what to do. If we were a shining nation on the sea and everything was perfect in America and Los Angeles had no homelessness and there were no heroin needles in San Francisco, I would say, heck, let's go over to Afghanistan and talk to the Taliban and let's stop them from doing that. But we're not that. So I don't think we have any business going over there, because I think it's kind of satanic, to be honest, to tell somebody who takes a harder line stance against some stuff that's like in the Bible and say, no, you have to do what we're doing. You have to do this. You have to have these parades. It's like, do they though? Do they really need those? Because like, it's not working for us. So why would it work for them? If they want to have a democracy, they could have a democracy. If they want Sharia law, they could have Sharia law. As long as they don't bring it to our country, then it's game on. But if they're doing it there, why should we bring our degenerate culture there? So I think the Lord's laws are scary because nobody wants to do the right thing anymore. And I know it's extreme, but we're the opposite extreme right now. And we open the door and now we're being flooded with extremist degeneracy and extremist liberalism. So, I think the least we could do is leave other countries alone. And the most we could do is try to come to a happy medium and get back to a point where our country doesn't hate ourselves. We're not racist and we don't hate everybody's race all the time. We're not kicking people out. We don't have freedom. The president can't go on social media. There's vaccine mandates in our greatest city ever. It used to be a conservative city. I mean, Rudy Giuliani was at one point the mayor or what was he, the mayor of New York City? That wasn't that long ago. Well, screw New York City. That's one of the greatest cities in the world. I love New York City. I don't want to lose New York City, but we've lost New York City. We've lost our greatest city to degeneracy, immorality, and you have a scrawny beta male socialist wannabe, thinks he's not racist because he married a black woman or something. Like he's like, oh, I'm so not racist now. It's like, how about instead of like parading around with your family, you stop trying to force vaccinate black children? Because that would probably be a good start, in my opinion. It's like, if you want to show me how not racist you are, why don't you stop trying to kick people out of gyms and spas and health facilities? Because that speaks a lot more than like your little like, you know, BLM dances that you do, like interpretive dance moves in New York City. So someone said we are the devil. Well, I'm not, but I mean, our country is becoming wicked. It's true. We have two parties that are not godly. The right does a better job, no question, but we're good at losing. You know, we're not there. If you take a hardline stance, and this is not, I'm not telling people what to believe. I'm not telling people who to like. I'm not telling you to be extreme or whatever. But if you take a biblical stance, and bring it to a TPUSA event, they will call you a homophobe. They will call you a race. They will call you all sorts of names. You can't be a Christian like Bryson Gray. These people hate them. They hate Bryson because he takes a hardline biblical stance. They'll call you literally a homophobe for reading a Bible passage at a right-wing TPUSA event. I've watched it happen. Someone asked them a question and he called him a homophobe because he had a gay veteran on the stage. And no disrespect, I've talked to Rob Smith and he's a nice guy. I'm just saying, it's like, if you read the Bible, you're now a homophobe on the conservative Christian party. Okay, what if I ask about the Constitution? They're at least constitutionalists, right? What if I ask about the speech laws that are being passed under the guise of anti-Semitism? They call you an anti-Semite. Dan Crenshaw called people an anti-Semite. Charlie Kirk called people. So what type of party is the right-wing party if taking a biblical stance gets you called a homophobe and taking a constitutional stance gets you called an anti-Semite? They're a Zionist party. They prioritize a foreign country, a ethnic agenda, and something that had nothing to do with America and Christianity above Christianity. So you get wickedness. I'm not saying people are wicked or not. I'm not the judge. God is, but it's not our job to go to Afghanistan, just like it's not our job to be another group of people. People can be themselves and we can be us. We have no identity. We have a Republican Party that thinks that the truth, that thinks that the Bible, and that thinks that the Constitution is hate speech because their donors and the people that they hang out with tell them that that's cool. It's not cool. It's never been cool. People are now questioning Dan Crenshaw because he questioned the election. He floated the idea of red flag laws, which is a red flag in itself. He said that it's hate speech and anti-Semitic and everybody's a big anti-Semite if you question speech laws. It doesn't mean you hate people. It means in America, you're supposed to be allowed to protest. If you can't protest a foreign country, you don't have the right to protest anymore. You could speak freely. If you're not allowed to say that certain people own certain things or certain people, you know, in certain countries are doing certain things, you're not free anymore. And that's the laws that Dan Crenshaw believes in. That's the laws that Ron DeSantis passed. They don't believe in free speech. They just pretend like they do. That's not a hateful thing. I'm just being honest. It's like we don't have a party in this country that are protecting our values. They only pretend to. And I've told people this for 2 years. And I didn't think the lockdowns were going to happen. But if you have one party selling you out and one party just tap dancing as they're going in the same direction, you're going to end up in a lockdown. And that's where we are. So America needs to focus on ourselves. Say what you want about Islam. I'm not Islamic, but they don't put face coverings on men. They put them on women. I'm not agreeing. I'm not Islamic. I'm just saying they don't put face masks on men. That's what Western democracy does now. So we've now become more degenerate than people that we've claimed that they're so oppressive. They're putting facial coverings on people. They're putting facial coverings on women. We're putting facial coverings on women and men at work for 8 hours a day. And we're calling you a terrorist or you're a horrible person if you disagree and you're hurting people when you're healthy. We suck right now. And I don't say that because I hate America. We suck. Our culture sucks. The Republican Party sucks. The Democratic Party sucks. Our television is disgusting. It's the most immoral, degenerate thing. Imagine trying to bring television to Palestine or Afghanistan. Oh, yeah, they really need to watch Will and Grace. They really need to watch, Fox and Fox 5. They really need to watch Lester Holt and Don Lemon. I mean, what are they going to do if they don't watch The Bachelorette? It's like, man, they got to see this new Seinfeld episode. It's like, it's like the pharmacy commercial, fast food commercial, pharmacy commercial, degeneracy. Oh yeah, we really got to export this great culture. We suck right now. And I'm not saying this because I hate America. I'm saying this because I love America. I love this country. I love our culture. I love what we once were. We're not it anymore. The only way to get back to that is admit that we're not that. Our TV is disgusting. Literally, the internet's amazing. TV is gross. It's not even the programming's disgusting, but the most disgusting thing is the commercials. On my channel, all the ads that you see on Facebook and YouTube, they're not my ads. I don't get paid. Well, I do get paid, but I'm just saying I don't pick these ads. I don't know what they are. They're tailored to you. So any ads that you get, they're sucking up all your data and they're tailored to you. So any ad you get, it's on you. That's the great thing about social media. They try to tailor ads to you, and they're way better than TV's gross. They are the biggest sellouts ever. It's like pharma, pill. You know, like they don't filter them so you get the things you want. They are sold out to the highest bidder. Whoever pays them the most money, whether it's Taco Bell, Mountain Dew, high fructose corn syrup, pill with 1,000 side effects, they're putting that on a disgusting commercial, and it makes me feel gross even watching it. If Facebook was like that or YouTube was like that, I'd never use Facebook or YouTube. TV is disgusting. They are that big of sellouts. And that's what the politicians do. They take money from anyone. And when you give $100 million or $50 million, you get what you want. That's why people who aren't sellouts are such a threat. Ron Paul, he's not going to take pharmacy money like Donald Trump or Joe Biden and turn into a vaccine salesman. That's why Ron Paul's such a big threat. It's not because he's a hateful person. It's because certain people put their soul and their integrity above a paycheck. I don't want to be poor. Ron Paul's probably not poor, but I don't need $100 million. I don't need $50 million. I would like to be well off, but I would rather be poor. I would rather starve than be a sellout. I would never sell a disgusting, degenerate product that I don't believe in myself. I would never do that. I don't care how much money if they said Anomaly, I'll pay you $5 million to promote, Mountain Dew. Unless I could tell people to drink water in the ad, I would have to have like 10 seconds to be like, drink water. Make sure you drink more water. This is a dessert. Have this once every 2 weeks or once a week. Like, don't drink this all the time. Drink water. I would never do it. And I'm sure they wouldn't let me say that. So I would never, you get what I'm saying? Like, that's the most dangerous thing to these people that can't be bought. And that's what Trump said he was, right? I thought maybe he is, or I don't know. He's like, I can't be bought. That's why I'm like, that guy's killing it. He has so much money, they can't buy him. Maybe he's selling products because he really feels that way. I don't know. Maybe he does, but that's what made Ron Paul such a legend. They probably tried to lobby him a million times, and he said no. He was like, I don't want your money, or you could give me what you want, but I'm not going to stop saying what I'm saying. I don't know what Ron Paul did. So, oh man. So I want to read that comment, but I'm gonna get in trouble. Someone said legal prostitution, aka advertising. Yeah, I mean, I get why people want to make money, but I think if everybody had like a moral code and said, I won't do that unless I believe in it, how many people do that? I can't think of very many off the top of my head that say I wouldn't. I know if you guys know Layla Ali, she's Muhammad Ali's daughter, great boxer in her own right, undefeated. She likes my videos, and she sent me some of her seasoning. It's so good. Go to laylaali.com. This is not a paid ad. She's just cool. She sent me some for free. But I saw her say that on her Facebook. She said, I will never sell you an advertisement that I don't believe in myself. She makes all organic seasonings. I use them on all my stuff now, but she's awesome. She's like, I'm not going to sell you any products I don't believe in. I would never take that money. There's not a lot of people like that. That's the only person I've seen say that in the last couple of years. Everyone else is like, well, if McDonald's gives me, it's like Mountain Dew. Yeah, I get it. Everybody eats McDonald's sometimes, not everyone, but I don't know. Does anybody have any moral code anymore? Someone said that's why I couldn't sell $2,000 vacuum cleaners. I mean, if it's a really good vacuum cleaner, I guess it's worth it. But unless you're like a professional vacuumer, or you have like a cleaning business of some sort, I guess it's worth it if you have like a badass cleaning business. But if you don't have that many rugs and you're buying a $2,000 vacuum, I don't know. I'm not in the vacuum business. I have no idea how much they cost, but all right, a couple more and I'm going to leave. What time is it? 1:24. All right, we're going to keep this somewhat short. I always say that and I end up here. Someone said reprogram yourself, focus on the truth. Yeah, that's the worst part about it. It's not even like the TV that's bad, because it is bad, but the commercials. maybe I'm too sensitive or whatever, but when I hear these commercials, sickness, 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 to me, I don't even want to hear that, right? I don't listen to that at all. If you have a TV on for 4 hours, they're telling you about all these diseases, all these diseases, all these diseases, all the time, all the time. To me, it feels gross. Like I'm just like, I don't. That's to me, that's the worst part of the TV. It's like programming people to think about this stuff all the time. You should check yourself if you feel sick or whatever, but it's so bad. Can I talk about the mounting Biden failures? I think he did a bad job with the pullout. I think he's printing too much money, but I stand by what I'm saying. Talking about Biden's failures, low hanging fruit. It's easy. It's expected. It's obvious. Everybody that watches my channel agrees with it. People need to realize what's going on their own side, or else you're going to keep going back and forth like a ping pong ball. Thank you, Unexpected. I appreciate it. Someone said Biden's pullout game is weak. Haha. It's pretty funny, Joshua. Someone said, I think they're getting ready to out Biden. I think he's not going to be there for the next couple of years. I think they're ready to replace him with Kamala or someone else. And it's not a threat. It's not a threat to them. It's not going to really change that much. I don't think he's really doing that much anyway. Like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, I can't even imagine that they would do anything different. Like maybe they have their own agenda, but they probably would do the exact same thing. So to me, I'm not trying to seem like a hater, but I feel like right-wing media is programmed. They got you on this carousel. You're going to talk about Cuba for a week. You're going to talk about Afghanistan for a week. You're going to talk about Joe Biden every single day of your life. You're going to post Joe Biden memes, make fun of him, act about how so great you are. You're going to want Joe Biden out of office. Then Joe Biden's going to leave and Kamala's going to get in office. I feel like they have right-wing media on a string. They fall for everything that always happens. They talk about it forever, but they never hone in on what they're doing. They never self-reflect. They never realize that they got deceived by their own party in 2020. None of them will admit that they printed $9 trillion. This idea, and I know libertarians like Ron Paul and people who follow him get it, this idea that the Republican Party is fiscally conservative has not only never been true, but it's even less true now. The Republican Party under Trump was the least fiscally conservative Republican Party ever. So this is the big problem. Joe Biden is a failure. Kamala Harris is a joke. But what does it mean if the joke is on you because you're not addressing any of the things that happened in your last 4 years? So when you get those 4 years back, you're going to get the same thing. They're still going to print the money. They're still doing this stuff because nobody has the balls to say it on the right wing. They're all just party bootlickers. They all just want attention. They all just want to post the Biden memes. They all just want to make fun of the left. But a lot of it is like lack of substance. So you just make fun of someone else. The left is a joke. I could sit here for 10 hours, put on a space helmet and parody the left for 10 hours. But the real joke is on the Republicans who follow these accounts because they never tell you what's going on. You think a pro-Trump account would dare tell you one of the 20 things that Trump did that isn't Christian or conservative or fiscally or economically? They'll never tell you that because it's not in their interest. They're bootlickers. All they do is just create this false reality where you're fighting Joe Biden and the left and Soros is working with China when I just explained to you in this video, he's actually not because there's two different types of ideology for global rule and socialism and communism and one world. And I told you the difference. They don't know the difference because they're simple-minded people that just say, oh, we're going to fight Joe Biden. These are the same people that would lie you into Iraq 20 years ago. These are the same people that would have said, oh, we got to fight the Taliban. And meanwhile, they're just growing poppy seeds and heroin in Afghanistan. That's not Christ. Like these people don't know that because they're just like bootlickers of the party. That's all they do. So that's the bigger deal. If people don't get to the bottom of that, the joke is on you because the Republican Party will get it back into power and they will print the money and they will degenerate the country. And then they're going to throw it back to the left. And then you're going to, that's the whole game. They've been doing it for 50, 60, 70 years. They just keep throwing it back and forth like a ping pong ball and nobody can figure out who's doing it because they're all doing it. The guitarologist said you're the real deal. You're a critical thinker. I appreciate that about you. Keep it up, dude. Thank you, the guitarologist. I appreciate you. we got to get to the bottom of this, folks. And I say it so much because there's not a lot of accounts saying it. There's really not. They don't want to say it. Fog City Midge said it, and everybody tried to bite her head off. It's like she's right about everything she said. She might have been a little passionate about it, but that's called being a real person. She's really passionate about the fact that she worked with Trump administration, Bannon, and all, and she realizes, like, what? Okay, why is he selling the big pharma jab? And I'm not. If you want to get it. But I gotta, like, if Trump was the real deal like he used to be, he would ask himself, instead of saying I saved 100 million people, if Donald Trump saved 100 million people with his vaccine, why is Israel in 2020 on August 15, why do they have 10 deaths? And why do they have 46 deaths today? Why are there 36 more deaths today than there were last year with no vaccine? Because Donald Trump's lying. He's just a pharma Moderna salesman. He's Grandpa Moderna, the Pfizer salesman. He doesn't want to tell you the truth. It's all about him. I'm so great. I saved the whole world by being a big pharma shill. No, you didn't, bro. And that didn't free us. That didn't set us out of a lockdown. That brought in the shill de Blasio vaccine passport. That was always the plan. If he didn't know that, he's not very smart and he's not worth listening to. Now, because of your product, now we have this, Donald Trump. We have the Bill de Blasio vaccine passport. Oh, well, it's just the Democrats. It's just the Republicans. They just throw you back and forth. This is Donald Trump with Operation Warp Speed. I'm gonna play. If you guys remember the Utah Jazz, if not, watch the one documentary I like, the Michael Jordan documentary called The Last Dance. I love that. Anyway, this is John Stockton who passes the ball and Karl Malone dunks. This is the Republican Party. 15 days to slow the spread. The CARES Act. Printing $9 trillion, Operation Warp Speed, funding Pfizer, funding Moderna, funding AstraZeneca, funding Johnson & Johnson, setting everybody up. This is them. And then this is the Biden administration, de Blasio, dunking it in your face. The Republican Party just lobs them up the ball. The Democrats dunk in your face. And then the Republicans say, well, technically, we didn't dunk in your face. I mean, we didn't throw the ball in your face. We only bought the ball. We purchased it from Dick's Sports. We pumped it up with air. We dribbled it. We brought it to the Utah Jazz game. We gave it to John Stockton, and he threw it, and they dunked it in your face. We didn't dunk the ball in your face. We just got the ball, pumped it up, brought it to the stadium, and passed it so they could dunk in your face. We're not doing it. Oh, here's inflation. Ready? Here's inflation. Here's the war on terror, trillions of dollars, the bank bailouts, printing money, right? And then here's Donald Trump. He gets the ball. It's already blown up. He's, omnibus bill, stimulus bill, 2020. He CARES Act. $9 trillion. Then he throws it to Biden, and Biden prints a $2 trillion, dunks in your face, and all these Republican accounts say, well, no, like Sticks Hexenhammer. Oh, he's so smart. He's like, no, Trump, I love Trump. I'm a beta male, scrawny little loser who lived in Europe, and I don't think Trump had any part of it anomaly. I'm a libertarian who makes excuses for $9 trillion. He's not a libertarian. He's an idiot. Oh, no, that didn't have anything to do with inflation. Of course it did, dummy. Just because you like Donald Trump and you want to slurp off his, boots or something, if Sticks got one of Trump's boots, he'd be like, oh. I'll be like, dude, that's not chocolate ice cream. That's probably like dog crap that Trump stepped on. He's like, that's fine. It tastes delicious to me because I'm a libertarian beta male who lives in Europe. It's like, no, you can't print $9 trillion and expect inflation not to rise. Biden is like the fall guy for this. Biden wasn't in control for 60 years. He's a moron. I mean, he's definitely responsible more than anybody who's been in Congress for that long, but it's all like a little game for you, and people buy it. It's like, oh, Donald Trump just put an email blast out. He really stuck it to Joe Biden. He can't even log into Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. He's not sticking it to anybody. He was having lunch with Mark Zuckerberg. Oh, Mark, I didn't know Dr. Fauci was not on my side. I only put him on television and gave him everything he wants, and then I'm the vaccine guy, not Dr. Fauci. Oh, yeah, come on, this is like faker than Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker. It's like, give me a break, guys. He's fighting Fauci by putting Fauci on TV every day. He's fighting Fauci by funneling money to big pharma. He's fighting the FDA and Fauci by pushing out the vaccines faster than they want you to. This is dumber than WWE. And then he's fighting. Zuckerberg. I never knew Zuckerberg was going to ban me. I was just eating dinner with him. What the heck, Mark? It was all good just a week ago. Come on, dude. You're president for 4 years. What are you doing? And then he sends out an email blast. Joe Biden didn't win the election. Follow me to the Capitol. And people were like, hey, I'm going to beat the deep state. Oh, my God, there's a guy with horns. I'm going to follow him. It's like, yeah, now you're getting arrested. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. Oh, well. That's the Republican Party. Let's do it again, folks. Print all the money, 15 days to slow the spread, Operation Warp Speed, trillions of dollars of printing, blah, blah, blah. Lob it to Joe Biden. He dunks in your face, and then I got to hear thousands of well, technically, it's federalism. I mean, technically, he didn't really dunk in your face. He just threw the ball at them. I mean, technically, Donald Trump didn't do inflation. It's just Joe Biden. It's Joe Biden inflation. Joe Biden printed $1 trillion, and that's inflation. I mean, Trump printed $9 trillion, but I like Donald Trump. I mean, he kept the economy. It's like WWE for people who want to believe that, like, pharmacy salesmen are like their best friend. It's just so obvious now. It wasn't so obvious. Bernie Sanders did a good job, and then he didn't do a good job. And as soon as he didn't do a good job, I was like, this guy sucks. And all the Bernie people were like, no. It's like, no, he just pretended to be like a relatable guy. And then he's like, vote for Hillary Clinton. It's like, no, gross. And then Trump did a great job. He really did. And then all of a sudden he didn't do a good job, but people are living in the past. It's okay. Someone said Trump was in on the election thing. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to blame him for elections and mail-in ballots, but I will say this, okay? If you watch Dick Gregory interviews, Dick Gregory was talking about machine voting 40 years ago. So this idea that machine voting is new, it's not new. Donald Trump tweeted about it in 2011. But here's the thing. When it doesn't affect him, he doesn't care. He used Julian Assange, not to get off topic. He said, WikiLeaks, Julian Assange. And then he got into office and pardoned Lil Wayne, which is fine, but he didn't pardon Julian Assange. He acted like he didn't know Julian Assange. Donald Trump hates whistleblowers. He's always hated whistleblowers. He hates Chelsea Manning. He hates Edward Snowden. He hates Julian Assange. He doesn't like whistleblowers. He's always been a hoorah America guy. He doesn't like whistleblowers. He just used Julian Assange to win the election, and then he threw him to the curb like he does his own supporters. And the same thing with machine voting. He talked about it during the Romney election. He knew that the machines were, or he thought that the machines were up to something because he tweeted about it. But when he wins the election, he doesn't care. Republicans won in 2018. He didn't care. Democrats were talking about machine voting harder than he was. And then the lockdown happened. Trump played into it the whole time. And the irony of Donald Trump, he always just blames everybody but himself. He has no problem throwing everybody under the bus, Mike Pence, whatever, but he'll never say he had anything to do with this. So once the lockdown happened, mass mail-in ballots were imminent. The only thing that would have stopped mass mail-in ballots is if Donald Trump would have opened the country early and figured out it was a lie. He didn't do that. He extended the lockdown. Well, it was the states. Well, Donald Trump's leading the Republican states. He's the leader. And he told them to lock back down with his guidelines. So they all locked back down after Easter. The first state to open up after locking down for a month or two was Georgia. It was Governor Kemp, who was smarter than Donald Trump and who said, I don't believe in this lockdown. It's time to open up spas. It's time to open up tattoo parlors and whatever. And Donald Trump had a problem with it. He told Georgia and Governor Kemp, I disagree with you opening your state. I don't agree with it. I think you should listen to my guidelines. So everybody who's saying it's just the states, yes, the states made their own decision, but Donald Trump orchestrated all this. He told them to do it. He made rules, told them to follow it, and tried to publicly shame them when they didn't and say that they should just shut up and listen to Donald Trump. That's who he is. He told Thomas Massie to shut up, who told you about the CARES Act. He told Governor Kemp he was in the wrong. So then all of a sudden, Georgia's a big hot topic. It's Donald Trump's fault. That's why I don't follow the vaccine salesman to the Capitol, because it's his fault that mass mail-in ballots were even there. He extended the lockdown order. He told Republicans to shut down, and he told Georgia that they should stay shut down. And now all of a sudden, it's Governor Kemp and Mike Pence's fault. It's somebody else's fault too. The guy in the mirror, but you guys slurp off his shoes and think he's just like oblivious to all this stuff. So that's one of the 30 reasons I didn't go to the Capitol, besides the fact he's selling vaccines. It's like, I'm not going to support a guy who doesn't even support himself and then blames all his support, blames this person, blames this person. He's more responsible than Governor Kemp. If Governor Kemp would have opened up the state, there would have been no mass mail-in ballots in the first place. If Donald Trump would have done that after Easter, but he didn't. He sabotaged himself. He sabotaged his own economy. He sabotaged his own supporters. He sabotaged his own country. He sabotaged his own constitution. He sabotaged his own election and then blames everybody else under the sun. He deserves some responsibility for the 2020 election because it was his lockdown extension that made it imminent, if that's what he believes. So it's not that I don't think that things are sketchy or not. It's just they got you in this like game. You're controllable. You're the guy who's going to believe everything Trump says and show up to the event and do this and do that. And they got you. Someone said, why didn't Trump help Alex Jones when he censored him? I'm telling you, Trump doesn't care about anybody but himself in the sense of like he'll use Julian Assange to win an election. And then when Julian Assange is locked up, Trump acts like he doesn't know him. Alex Jones, he used Alex Jones when Alex Jones was a big platform. Alex Jones had billions of views. He was one of the biggest people on YouTube. Donald Trump went on Alex Jones' show in 2015 or 2016 and said, keep it up. You're doing great. Thank you so much. And then when Alex Jones gets censored, no Republicans want to touch it. Why? Because they don't care about you. They care about themselves and they care about using you. So Trump never cared about censorship until he got censored. It took them until 2020 to care. And by that time, it's too late. We have a lockdown. There's all sorts of censorship. He's eating with Zuckerberg, acting like he doesn't know. It's like a big WWE game. And I'm not fully blaming him, but yeah, if you let all your biggest supporters get censored, if you let two people who helped you win the election get censored and locked up, eventually you're going to run out of room. That's why I don't feel that bad for him. Do I want Trump to be kicked off social media? Of course not. Did I want Trump to be president again? I did. I didn't want Joe Biden to be president. Do I want Trump to do the greatest job he could do? Of course. Do I want him to be prosper? But it's karma. It's like you let all these people fall by the wayside. He locked his own country down in 2020. He was the president. He agreed with it. He told the states to lock down. He pressured them to lock down. And he signed off on all the paychecks for all the corporations and all the testing and all the vaccines. He signed up for all of this and bragged about it and said he saved 100 million lives. How am I supposed to feel bad for him? He locked me up for 2 months and bragged about it. So that's how karma works. You don't get to do that to everybody who supports you and everybody who loves you and just be on top of the world forever. It doesn't work that way. People don't get it, but it's like if you want to sit and make excuses, you should change your name on Facebook. Instead of putting your real name, put Trump excuse maker number 2 million because there's millions of you. Just put that's your job. You're a professional excuse maker. You just make up excuses. Well, this is why it happened. I mean, he couldn't have done it without Congress because he's the leader of the free world and he's the most popular leader. A lot of this is mental. You don't understand. If Sweden doesn't play along, they don't play along. If Arizona doesn't believe in it, it doesn't exist. As far as the restrictions, if Florida doesn't want to do it, they don't do it. A lot of this is mental. Once you brainwash enough people, it doesn't even matter. You could tell them it's done and it's not done. The CDC says to put a mask back on. In America, people don't want to wear a mask. It's bigger than even just policy. Donald Trump has that power over the world, and he played into it for way longer than he should have, for months. And I have the receipts from April to people who think I'm brand new. In April and in May, when this was all so obvious, Donald Trump said Sweden is bad because Sweden didn't lock down. Sweden didn't do a lockdown. They didn't do a mask mandate. And Donald Trump was pushing propaganda saying, Sweden is so deadly. America's so great because we're locked down and I'm saving millions of lives with my lockdowns, as he's signing paychecks to Big Pharma, who was always going to jam this down your throat. So You guys deserve this because you're like obsessed with losing. You're obsessed with communist excuses. You're obsessed with losing. You're obsessed with being lied to. You don't deserve freedom. You don't deserve a prosperous country. You love it. You fall for it every time. You defend it. You defend the degeneracy. You defend the lockdowns. You defend the guy who did it to you. You defend it. You distort history. You lie to yourself. Why do you think you deserve freedom? You deserve sitting on the couch and watching the Cowboys on essentially like medical house arrest, which is what they want to do to you, like Australia. You don't deserve freedom making excuses like this. He was a salesman for lockdowns for months. Besides Congress and legislation, if he really wanted to free the world and open things up, he could have done a million different things that he never did. Someone said you're wrong for telling people you don't understand. Julio, just click the X button, dude. I get it. Just go slobber over a Fox News host who's going to tell you everything that you want to hear. And then in 10 years, they're going to start a war in the Middle East and you're going to think you're fighting terrorism when you're really just growing heroin so that future generations overdose on opioids. Yeah, go find a channel like that, okay? Someone said, go F yourself. I mean, you don't even have a real name on here. You have like your name is F Facebook. How'd you even get your name like that? That's hilarious. Someone said he passed anti-First Amendment and anti-Second Amendment laws. That's true. That's all true. Donald Trump did pass anti-First Amendment and anti-Second Amendment laws, but people don't want to hear that. They want to hear that he was fighting for freedom the whole time. It was just Congress. It wasn't just Congress. He passed an executive order which goes around Congress for the universal flu vaccine in 2019 that brought together the Department of Justice, the FDA, the Department of Defense, 10 different agencies. People are brainwashed. They're not just brainwashed by CNN. They're not just brainwashed by MSNBC. They're brainwashed by Donald Trump. They think he's their savior, and they don't care that he passed anti-First Amendment laws. They don't care that he passed anti-Second Amendment laws. At a certain point, you're on the wrong side of history. Liking Donald Trump over Biden's awesome, and it's smarter. But if you can't process what's going on, you're going to get what you deserve. You're going to get the lockdowns. You're going to turn into Australia. You're not going to have an opposition party because the opposition party is going to do the same thing as the other party. If you don't get it by now, you're running out of room. You're running out of time. So the least people can do is listen. You guys don't listen. I know I talk a lot on my live streams, but I listen even more. You think I just made this stuff up? No, I read tens of thousands of documents every year. I watch the best people, listen to the best podcasts. I learn, I do my own research. I don't learn by yapping when somebody who knows more than me or somebody who is telling me something I don't want to hear tells me something. I listen to them. I don't hate them. I thank them. If they shatter my cognitive dissonance, I'm grateful that they expose something that I didn't see. But it's so obvious they're programming people like a sports game. Team red versus team blue. It's the same thing. You don't get it. I'm going to still vote Republican because they do better stuff locally and they do a little bit better here. But it's like a game where it's being controlled. So you're winning. And then you lose in 2020 and you lose more steps than ever. Oh, he didn't know. It was just Congress. I mean, he just got fooled by his advice. It's like whatever you got to tell yourself. It's WWE. See that? They don't want. Now let's see. Come on, stop playing. Stop playing with the kid. I'm nice with it, okay? Oh, you don't want one-on-one in basketball? I'm Stockton M. Malone. Assist over the. See that? Yeah. People think they could take me one-on-one in basketball. Give me a break. You see, that's just with a ball. Imagine me with a basketball. I could put it over my head through my legs. I look like I'm playing street ball. I'll dunk on somebody. Any news journalist that wants it one-on-one, let them know Anomaly can beat them one-on-one. Anybody. I know Jorge Ventura said he wanted to play. I like Jorge. I'm just talking trash. Jorge, come get it. You don't want this crossover, Jorge. Jorge's a great journalist. He does independent stuff. He's at the border. He's there. He's everywhere, but he don't want to be on the court with me. That's for damn sure. So I like Jorge. I'm not knocking him. I do want to play him in basketball, though. It would be fun. Anyway, let's calm down. Someone said, I just got the first dose. I'm curious. Are you anti? I'm not. That word doesn't exist to me. I'm not anti, pro. I'm not going to be forced to get one. I'm not going to be threatened or held for ransom. I don't want one. If I wanted one, I get it. That's the type of, if I want to go to Carl's Jr., I go to Carl's Jr. I know it's disgusting. I still eat it sometimes and I feel disgusting afterwards. Sometimes I order on Uber Eats $30 at Carl's Jr. I eat it, wake up disgusted with myself and say, why the hell did I do that? It's not a good decision. I regret doing it every time. But it's my choice, right? I could eat vegan, I could eat meat, I could eat a steak, I could water fast for 48 hours and eat nothing and just drink tea. I don't want the government to tell me what to do. So I'm not anti anything. If you want to get it under your own free will, that's fine. If you're going to get threatened by your work or travel and they're saying you have to get it, you're not going to do this, just understand the more you do, the more they take. That's just how the game works. That's all I'll say. I'm not pro or anti, but it's like you do 15 days to slow the spread because you want to be free. They extend it past Easter because you want to be free. You open up and wear a mask for a week because you want to be free. Then you got 2 masks, and then you got to wear a face visor, and then it never ends. And now it's on an airplane. And now you get a vaccine. Then you get a double one, and you're going to reach herd immunity. But now they say that you can't. And now that they say that there's the Delta and the Lambda. So I'm just being honest. If people want to get this, do your research, make a decision. If you're getting it because you think that's going to end all of this tyranny, just look at Israel. 60% or over vaccinated. I could look up exactly how they are. Let me just look up real quick because let's see. Israel vaccination rate. They might not even be like, okay, here it is. Let's see. They are 64.6% vaccinated, fully vaccinated around 60%. I was right, 59.8%. So listen, I love the people of Israel. If you want to get it, that's fine. And I don't want to wish this on Israel because I wish the people there the best. But it's like if they get 99% vaccinated, I don't want people to be forced it, but it's like if they get to that point, it's not going to go away. I'm sorry, it's not going to go away. It Gibraltar already proved that. So they want you to get it and give you stuff. If you want to get it, whatever. I would never tell someone to get or not get something. I'm not you. I don't choose your medicine or your diet. Talk to a doctor. But to the people who are getting it because they were bullied into getting it and they think that getting it means, well, now I'm going to take off my mask and now I'm going to be free and now this is going to end. It's not going to end. That's just the reality, unfortunately. Yo, this guy Dean Miller is hilarious. He's just making up things in the comment. Should I read it or no? I'll take a vote. Dean, this is the second time you've done that. If you don't agree with what I'm saying, Dean, you have the right to say anomaly. I don't agree with you. If you're going to literally make up a completely fake thing that never happened and say it with 100% confidence, you're an idiot. But also, you should watch your mouth because you're not allowed to just say that about people. He says anomaly is working for the Biden Pelosi FBI. He was threatened with prosecution if he did not cooperate. That's not even remotely true. I'm not working with anyone. I wasn't threatened to not cooperate. I'm not working. You're just making things up because you don't like me. So it's like, imagine being that confident about something you literally have no idea about. Like, you must be a horrible person and you must be really stupid. You're the type of person that they could be like, hey, Dean, we're going to go to Afghanistan and fight the terrorists and give your tax money. Dean would be like, oh my God, he's a Republican. We're going to fight the Taliban. And then like trillions of dollars later, he's like, oh no, oh no, oh no, we just lost trillions. Oh no, Sean Hannity was wrong. Oh no. It's like, yeah, that's who you are, Dean. Let's calm down. He's just like saying it in all caps like he's 100% sure. The guy doesn't even know me. You only know what I've said on here, and I've literally told people the truth, but unbelievable. I could promise you that the Biden administration doesn't want me to say what I said today. I don't even just listen. People are so stupid. Just listen to what I'm saying. If I sat here like Joe Walsh, if I sat here and said, guys, I had a change of heart. Don Lemon is like the greatest person on television. And the Cuomo brothers are like Mario and Luigi. And I just dream of being like them and jumping into portals and hitting mushrooms and stuff. And, I really like Anderson Cooper. I had to change of heart. And, Jake Tapper. I mean, if you don't like that guy, who the hell do you like? If I said that, then it would be logical to be like, all right, Anomaly sold out. Like he literally just turned into like a CNN obsessor. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. You're not going to hear this on CNN. Democrats are not going to tell you what I'm saying. So just shut your mouth, Dean, and just listen. If I was shilling for the Cuomo brothers, it's understandable. Just listen for once, bro. Did I see the plane? I saw the video of the plane is crazy, right? The plane is taking off and they're all like jumping on it. That's a crazy picture. That's definitely not what the Biden administration wanted. They screwed up, and they deserve to, get called out. No question. Just letting you guys know, I'm not. It's not like I don't want to talk about stuff like that because it is interesting. I just know there's 50 other people talking about that, so you're gonna get that story. You're gonna hear that. I always like talking about something unique because I know nobody's going to say this. That's why, of course, the Biden administration should be ashamed of themselves. But that you could hear at 1,000 channels. I want to focus on things people won't say. That's it. Clint Evans said it wouldn't let me post the hat link on here. It's my Facebook page, Beyond Wooden. I could hold you down one-on-one. Go Cowboys. All right, Clint, fake news. You can't beat me one-on-one. The New York Giants are better than the Cowboys. Let's calm down. All right, let me read the stars. Thank you, Joseph, on Facebook. Thank you, Nadine. Thank you, Angie. Andrew said too many people went, we punched Nazis in the face to stop and show me your papers. Crazy times. Thank you guys for the super chats. I want to say that it is interesting. Apparently Antifa, I don't like to talk about them that much because they're all like psycho and they just don't like to be talked about. But apparently they're fighting people at the vaccine rally in Los Angeles. I wasn't there. I don't know much about it, but like Antifa really needs to stop and think about who they are. Because they're claiming to fight fascism and they hate corporations or something. I don't even know what they think they're doing. They're like, I hate Starbucks. It's like, I don't even like Starbucks that much, but like, I don't like them at all. But I drink that disgusting stuff because it's convenient sometimes. Anyway, they think they're like fighting the system. How are you attacking people at a vaccine passport? What's more authoritarian than forcing people to show identification of a pharmacy injection? They think they're fighting the Starbucks industrial complex or something. I'm not saying Starbucks isn't a big company, but Big Pharma has bigger influence over the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. How in the world could you shill for Big Pharma products, but you're like beating the shit out of a Starbucks? It's like, I'm not shilling for Starbucks. I'm just saying the pharmacy lobby has more power than Starbucks. I don't know who they're like, I'm just pissed off and I'm going to punch this Starbucks window and I'm going to punch a Nazi and I'm just going to punch a vaccine. It's like, why don't you stop punching and like do some research? Because you guys are psychotic. Like, that's like the proxy war, like just beating up protesters. Like, what are they doing? I don't even know. It's a mess. That's why I don't like to go to these things anymore. You got these people fighting. Like, no, the bankers do not care that like they're like, oh man, we just fought fascism by fighting a vaccine passport rally. It's like the bankers are sitting looking at Antifa, laughing hysterically. They're like, oh my God, look at these morons. They're literally punching citizens for disagreeing with like authoritarianism. It's like, it's so stupid. It really, it's like bottom tier stuff. Like if you get to the top of the power pyramid, I don't know who's really running the show, but everyone has some ideas. Anyway, you get to the top of the pyramid, like the big dogs who are controlling both parties. And then you get to the bottom, like the lowest of the low is like Antifa fighting a Republican at like a rally. Like that's not, you're not fighting the system. Like no one there is fighting the system. That's at the bottom. They're like looking in their ivory towers and like these idiots just keep fighting each other. They're like, this is great. Like they're just fighting each other in the streets. It's like outside We Spa, you just got people just like yelling at each other. It's like, I've been to We Spa before. It was fun during the day, but it did get weird at night. Like they had like homeless people and stuff because it's We Spa in LA. If you go there, you could sleep over. So people will pay to sleep over there, like homeless people, because it's cheap. They've been a mess. That's why when the whole like transgender thing happened, I'm like, people were like, you got to come down to We Spa. And I'm like, you got to fight for our rights at We Spa. I'm like, you're not, you could go. There's nothing wrong with going. There's none of my rights are being fought at freaking We Spa. I've been to We Spa. I've been there 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I met one of my friends there. Anyway, it's always been degenerate because these people who own it, they let homeless people go there for 20, 30 bucks, sleep over at night. And it got crazy when I was there 2 years ago. So I'm not saying I agree with what they're doing, but I'm not fighting for my freedom at a spa I've already decided I'm never going to 2 years ago. But I respect the hustle. I'm just like, you got to come down here to fight Antifa in front of We Spa. Like, that sounds terrible. That sounds like the opposite of what I want to do. But I get it. Everyone's got to protest. Someone said Antifa's fighting the citizens that the banks are screwing over. That's completely right. Either they're in on it or they're just really dumb. I think they're just really dumb. I think it's like an angsty thing. They're like, we're fighting. They're literally fighting people that the bank screwed over. It's embarrassing. It really is. But these kids are like angry and like demonic, and they're probably doing drugs and stuff. Whatever. Someone said, I forget, does YouTube ban you if you disagree with climate change? I mean, I guess what you say matters, but they definitely put, if you disagree or debate anything with climate change, I think they put up a little thing that says like Wikipedia says that climate change, well, they do that thing where they like cover your video with like a warning that whatever you said doesn't matter because what they said matters. That's happened to me. I've never had my video censored, but I try to be smooth. That's kind of my thing. I think that's why I'm still here, because for multiple reasons. One, that's just how I am. But also, whenever you're talking, I think it's good to show what you're talking about. Like if you just say, I think that this causes this, and you don't have any proof, or you just like thinking it, it's cool. I think things too, but I think it's good to show proof. So if you talk about climate change, I think you're going to be better off if you really fully explain it properly. But I don't know. I'm sure some people have gotten banned for that, but I'm guessing most people are fine with that. It just depends how you say it and how they feel on that day. There's certain words that they don't want you to say and certain topics that but I don't know. I think that one is pretty fine as long as you say it properly. But what do I know? I'm sure people have gotten censored. Someone said, why don't we talk about solutions? Because solutions are racist, yo. The word solution comes from Salu. If you know, Salu came from George Washington, who owned slaves. So we don't talk about solutions, bro, because solutions are like racist. It's master bedroom, the patriarch. No, I'm just kidding. We do talk about solutions, but I really think the solution for the conservative side is we've identified what the left is doing, right? We've identified that. We see what they're doing. It just keeps getting weirder. Every time you think what the left is doing can't get weirder, it gets weirder. That's easy, right? We've identified that. So what's the solution? You can't just keep identifying that. You get what I'm saying? You can't just, well, they're hypocrite. Yeah, they don't care. They don't care. We have to identify there's a reason we're losing even when we win. That's my goal. It's not everyone's goal, but on a personal solution, do what you can, be the best version of yourself you could be, have a good day. That's all you could do. On a political scale, the right wing, the biggest problem for the right wing is not the left wing. The problem with the right wing is even if they gain power again, they're going to blow it again at this rate. We have to self-reflect, I think. That's my thought. But someone said they don't want solutions. Now, the media certainly does not want solutions. And political parties, I really think people overestimate who these people are. When I talk to people, if I'm at a bar, I don't go that much, but if I'm at a bar or I'm somewhere and I talk to like a progressive or a liberal, they're not psychotic like Joy Reid. They don't act like the people on television. They're there to just, and everyone's like people don't act. Most people don't act like that. When I talk to conservatives in person, when I go to these events, people don't wig out like they do on my thing. And they're like, F you, like they're like anomaly. I hear what you're saying. Like, so I think the media is not representative of us, and also politicians. Like, who wants to be a politician? No offense, but the worst people want to be politicians. And if you're a great politician, there's some cool ones, no doubt. Like Ron Paul's pretty cool. There's a lot of cool Republicans now, but it's like, who wants to be a politician? So you're like idolizing these people because they're like professional salesmen. If you go to a car dealership, it's great, right? They love you. Hey, how you doing? Oh man, you look good. You want a car? Come on. Hey, you want a water? Hey, let's go. They want you to buy the car. Like you go to certain things. They're a real estate agent. I have a lot of friends that are real estate agents, but like they want to sell you a house and they want to sell you a car. They're selling you something, but it doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means that's what they want to do. They would much rather sell a house to somebody they don't like than get along and not sell a house to someone they do like. It's their job. There's nothing wrong with it. That's just what it is. Politics is like the same way, except it's worse. It's worse than car sales, and it's much worse than real estate. That's who these people are. You just think they're like your best friend or something. They stand on television with a cowboy hat and they go to your church and tell you about stuff and you think they're like your best friend. It doesn't mean they're bad people. I'm just saying, like, politicians are salesmen. They're salesmen sometimes for war. Sometimes they're big pharma salesmen. I call Trump Grandpa Moderna, the great vaccine salesman, because one, it's hilarious, but also that's what Donald Trump, he's a vaccine salesman. He's selling a vaccine harder than Bill Gates. Bill Gates isn't even on TV that much anymore. Donald Trump is the new Bill Gates. He's like the biggest vaccine salesman I've ever seen in my life. He's like Moderna, Moderna, Moderna. He can't stop talking about it. He's obsessed. They're salesmen. They sell things, and people are like, oh, it's like that's their job. They take lobbying money and they're the smooth talker. If you're Sheldon Adelson, you don't need to go on TV. Nobody even knows who that guy is. He's a billionaire. He's dead now, rest in peace. But he doesn't get on TV because he's too rich to do that. And he's too smart to do that. So he's like, I'll pay you and you go do what I want to do. And that's when the politician comes along. They're the idiot that wants to do that. They take the money and they take the position. Some of them are moral. Some of them have values and they really wanted to serve their community. But a lot of them are just salesmen. They get the money from the people who are smarter and richer than them to go and sell you something. Like, that's why Trump was cool for a while, because he wasn't selling anything. He was just like, I don't need your money. I'm rich already. It's like, oh, damn, that's what made him cooler. The rest of these idiots, they're like do-nothings who nobody would care about if they weren't running for office. And I'm not trying to be mean, but like, there's certain people where it's like, he's running for governor, he's running for this. And that's their whole shtick. They're getting a bunch of money because they're running for something. And then they're on all these shows because they're running for something. It's like, no one would care about half these people if they weren't running for anything. I'm not saying they're all bad, but they are like salesmen. The rich people pay them. And then they're like this car salesman who get out there and act like they're your best friend and sell you a war or a pharmacy product or a banking scheme or $1 trillion loan. And Donald Trump turned out to be the ultimate salesman because he got everyone to love him and think he didn't need to make a sale for years. But then when it came to $1 trillion omnibus bills, come 2019, he's selling a shitty bill like it's the greatest thing in the world. He's like a used car salesman. He's like, oh man, we raised the smoking age. We raised the smoking age. Okay. It's like, everyone's like, why would you raise the smoking age? Like, what does that have to do with freedom? And he's like, okay, come on, this omnibus bill, I'm telling you, we raised the smoking age. Okay. And like, even Ted Cruz was being honest about it. It's like, Ted Cruz is like, you're funding gun control. Trump's 2019 bill funded gun control for liberals. It's like funding a bunch of like things that are totally not. He's like, okay, okay. And then 2020, he's like, oh, this vaccine. Let me tell you about this vaccine, okay? Yeah, man, nobody's better than me with vaccines. People call me the king of vaccines, okay? He's like, when it comes to this vaccine, Spanish flu. Okay, it's just a flu. The Spanish flu is just a flu, but killed 100 million people. Okay, without my vaccine, there'd be 100 million people dead. Okay, he's like a used car salesman for vaccines. Literally, he's such a like, this isn't how he used to act. Maybe I just never paid attention or something. But I'm watching him, and they're talking about governors, and he can't stop like the used sale routine. He's like, okay, He's like, they're like, what do you think about the governors and how, Biden's handling the governors? And he's like, okay. He's like, let me tell you about governors. Okay. He's like, when it comes to governors, nobody governs like me. They call me the king of the governors. I was like, he's trying to like sell it so hard. I'm like, you're the king of the governors? What? Like, no, you're just a guy who ran the country and talked to, he's like, okay. He's like, you want to talk about governors? I'll tell you about governors, okay? When it comes to governors, nobody governs like me. I mean, some would say I'm the king of governors, okay? And DeSantis, they're really turning him really bad. And, Governor Abbott, that's a great guy. They're treating him really bad. And my vaccine, Moderna, Pfizer, Fauci said, wait 5 years. FDA, you wouldn't believe how much red tape there was. I cut the red tape. We got the vaccine now. Fauci hates me. They all wanted to wait 5 years. I got it out. I saved the world. 100. He's like a used car salesman. Like, it sucks because I liked him, but that's what he does now. He just goes on TV and sells it like, and that's like Mike Lindell. He's literally a pillow salesman. Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like people are obsessing over like a pillow salesman and Donald Trump who's selling a vaccine. Mike Lindell gets on. He's like, oh, Trump's going to be in office in August. And everyone's like, oh my God, he's going to be. Mike Lindell's a nice guy, but he's a pillow salesman. He's always selling something. Literally, ask him how many times the election got overturned after his cyber symposium. 0. Ask him how many pillow sales he made. I would assume his sales skyrocketed the last week. And I'm not saying that's why he's doing it. I'm just being honest. He told people that Trump's going to be back in office. He's like, Trump's going to be back in office, and like, no, he's not, dude. It's fine though, but I don't know. It just reminds me of like a car sale. Someone said politicians were the annoying dummies that were the class president. There's good politicians, but it takes a certain type of person to want to run for office. Maybe better people need to run, but I don't know. It's just like they're all like selling me something, and I don't believe it. But all right, we got what time? 2:09, 5 minutes, 2:15. I'm good. Someone said good politicians. I can't tell you who's good or bad. I always liked Ron Paul. I think Rand Paul's his son. He is his son, so I think he's a little bit more ethical. Thomas Massey seems pretty cool, but I mean, I don't know. There's some cool people that I'm not saying I hate them. Like there's some people doing cool things, but I just don't trust any of them. Like the car, for example, when you go into a car sale, they're trying to sell you. When I signed off on my car, they're saying, "Do you want this protection?" I'm like, "No, I'm good." And they're like, and the lady's like, "We no, this is for you." And I'm like, "I listen, lady, you're not lying to me. I get it. You want to make money." And she's like, "I'll put it down to $30 a month. That's really good for you. You don't want to do this. You want to sign this. Like, trust me." She's like, "This is so good for you. You wouldn't believe it. Like, I'm losing money on this." And I was like, "That's not true. If you were losing money, you would be okay. You would hope that I didn't do it. Like you get incentive. If I sign up for this, you get a piece of it. That's how it works. So that's why they want to sell it. Like this lady thinks I'm stupid. Like, oh my God, it's so much better for you. No, it's not. If it was so much better for me, you would just shut up and let me get away. I respect the hustle, but I'm like, you're not lying to me. That's like a politician. They're just like, I don't hate them. They're doing their job. They're selling something. They're selling products and selling. I don't know. Someone said angry anomaly is the best. Thank you. Kevin, I'm not reading that for multiple reasons, but thank you for the super chat. Someone said I like DeSantis. He seems like a good politician, but just remember he's a politician. Don't like this is maybe part of meme culture, but like now I'm seeing these memes like Daddy DeSantis, Daddy DeSantis. Like it's like, yeah, I get it. It's cool. I don't hate DeSantis, but don't do the same thing you did with Donald Trump. Like him, appreciate him, keep an eye on what's going on. Because eventually, we can't just like blind like he's not Usher or something, but Usher's not even Usher. You get what I'm saying? It's like people are like, oh my God, if it's not Trump, it's gonna be DeSantis. It's like he's doing some good things, but just stay focused because there's always a little game going on, and that's how they get us because we get so excited. Let's not do that anymore because it was all fun until the lockdown. Seriously, like it wasn't that bad until they locked the country down. I'm like, okay, these people really suck. I got maybe we'll end. Listen, I only have 3 minutes left, but it starts getting fun when I pull out my NASA helmet. If you guys don't know me, I'm training to be the next Jeff Bezos. I'm not trying to brag, but I myself am trying to go 50 to 60 miles in the air, in Earth's atmosphere, and tell everyone I went to space. I'm not saying he didn't go up really high. He did, but he didn't leave Earth atmosphere. That's a fact. That's not a conspiracy theory. Watch my Bezos video. But, if I had more time, I'd turn into Buzz Aldrin, but we don't want to do that right now. Shout out to NASA. That's my favorite agency. I mean, there's a lot of really cool ones, but NASA's so cool. They just billions, 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 billions every year, billions, billions. And then it's like, hey, what's up with 1969? How come we don't do that again? And they're like, well, it's a funny story. I'm glad you asked. We had the technology. We just destroyed it. And it's a painful process to build back again. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah. We had the technology. We destroyed it. You guys get billions of dollars a year. And it's just a painful process to do that again. But Jeff Bezos can somehow shoot up in this little, rocket shaped like a, Austin Powers thing. Yeah, that totally makes sense. So that's my favorite agency. If you don't like NASA, who the heck do you like, right? We love NASA here. Buzz Aldrin, Neil Armstrong, Lance Armstrong, Lance Bass, the bass that sits on the wall. Remember the singing bass that was popular in the 90s? We like that. There's a lot of people we really appreciate on this channel, but those are just a few. All right, let me go before it takes too long. God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Thanks for listening to me today. Hopefully, some people love Angry Anomaly, some people don't. It's really just based on your taste. But here's what you don't do. When I'm in the zone, don't come in and say you're disappointed in me. Just click the X button. I'm disappointed in you too. Don't come in and say, oh my. It's like, just click the X. It's fine. I don't go into other people's streams. The only person that I purposely say stuff to is Scott Adams, because his takes on coronavirus are god awful, and it's seriously really bad. So besides that, it's like I don't go around commenting to people all the time. But anyway, you get it. Hopefully people listen. Hopefully people consider what I'm saying, because it's not hateful. It's not terrible. We love everybody, right? We love the whole world. We love the Arab world. We love the Asian world. We love the American world. We love Europe. But we don't want to get played, right? We don't want to be on lockdown forever. We want everyone to do their thing, okay? We don't need to go around the world and tell everybody what to do, because then it's like being a person that's like disgusting and like disheveled, and we're like telling everyone how to dress and stuff. It's like, let's not do that. Let's focus on America. Until we clean up Los Angeles, we can't talk about Kabul. I know it's better than probably there, but at the same time, I don't know. Los Angeles is getting pretty bad with the vaccine passports and stuff. So we have to. Don't let the left and the right run you. There's always going to be another story. And it's important because Afghanistan is a crucial story to talk about. Don't get me wrong. But at a certain point, we do have to focus on our country, both parties, and also figure out a solution, like people were saying. Because we could say, oh, they're hypocrites, but they don't care. We got to figure this out. So thank you guys. Have a good day and enjoy yourself. And check out my Australia video. I have a new Australia video probably coming soon. One of the biggest stories that people aren't talking about, and it's not just Australia. They are doing this in America in certain areas. And, I think they want to do that here. And it really matters how many people are paying attention, because Australia is under a sick lockdown. They just had a guy say, real quick, if you're drinking outside, you can't even you can't drink outside anymore. Put your mask on. They're not even letting people drink outside. Like you can't go 2-3 miles from your house. They're arresting people. It's like an open air prison. Okay. So we don't have the moral high ground to go to other countries anymore. Like, we got to focus on the Western world, because they're doing some weirdo stuff to us. And in America, we're the leader of the free world. We always were. In order to regain that, we don't have to micromanage everyone else. We have to lead by example again. And in many cases, we are. A lot of our conservatives and Republicans, we got to lead by example again, because we're really the last bastion and we're crumbling. So if we lift ourselves up by our own bootstraps, I think the rest of the world will follow. Thank you guys. Have a good one, and God bless you.